Hey, and welcome back to Dungeons and Devs. I'm Xavier. I'm a 3D character artist at Insomniac Games, currently working on Spider-Man for the PS4. I have a really good group with me today, well, let's just get started with some introductions. Anthony, can you tell us a little about yourself, what you do, and how you got into game development?
Yeah, hi, I'm Anthony. I work at Riot. I'm a writer on League of Legends and other projects. Just trying to see if that's fire worthy me saying that. It's probably fine. Doesn't matter. It's probably known that they're working on other things. And I got into game dev because I did a comedy web series with my sister about how much I liked video games. And basically, when Gearbox needed somebody to write another Borderlands game, they're like, oh, this guy does like 90-second long fart jokes. He should do our 60-hour AAA game.
Well, awesome. Thank you for being here, and thank you for sort of being the pinch hitter who just came in out of nowhere and was like, I have some time.
No problem.
Yeah, it's always great when Twitter enables that type of interaction with all kinds of people across the world, or I guess across LA in this case. Yeah. And Matt, tell us a little about yourself, how you got into game dev, and a little about what you do.
Well, my name's Matt Graczyk. I'm an environment artist. I'm working at Method EXP doing VR and AR type projects. And I don't know, I got in because I wasn't good enough at math to be in engineering, so I kind of slipped into games from the side. So it's kind of the short story there.
All right. Well, thank you for being here. Thank you for coming back. I've known Matt for it's been like over half a decade now. We got started playing TF2 together back when CG Talk was still really popular and they had their own server. It's been a long and wild ride. Yeah. And Jordan, what about you? Tell us a little about yourself, what you do, how you got into game dev.
Sure. Yeah, I'm Jordan. I started as a level designer in a very terrible Harry Potter game that still sold ridiculous amounts of units. And I was doing a little bit of writing for Psygnosis and went through 3 BioShocks, a Random Thief game, and some other assorted change, and then went indie, and I now co-own Question LLC. We make weird indie games. One's called The Magic Circle, and our new one is Secret. That's kind of the tale.
Awesome. Well, thank you all for being here. And thank you for, pulling out time in your schedule. Hello, Kitty. Hello.
Sorry, that's a big error.
No, I don't think that's a problem. I think everybody who watches this is probably going to like cats at least just a little bit.
Yeah, I assume so.
Yeah. Thank you guys for being here. And like I say on other episodes of this, it wouldn't feel right to not discuss something game dev related when you have a bunch of game developers in the same room together or in the same chat together. So this is a question I've asked a couple of times before on other episodes. I probably asked it on a previous episode that Jordan was on, but I think it's worth asking again with lots of different groups. What are some resources and tools and maybe working methods that you guys use in your day-to-day work that you've found really helpful in your careers, in your whether it is in the work that you specifically do at your job, or even just maybe even like a mental exercise that you tell yourself in the morning as you're getting prepped to get into your job? Does anybody want to go first? I know that Jordan, you had sort of writing exercise that you use last time, but can you come up with some other things that you recommend?
Let's see. I've already talked about TV tropes. I've already talked about going to a place where you have to pay for the internet. And I've talked about the big board. Let's see. I guess another sort of major thing that I do is I will, this is going to sound really fucking cynical and world weary, so I apologize, but I sometimes go back and play the games that I played that got me into games in the first place. Just kind of like either if I'm really pressed for time, watch them on YouTube, or if possible, actually do like a kind of like binge over a holiday or something, because they do tend to activate something different in me as the years go by and remind me like kind of why it's worth still building this kind of stuff. So I don't know if that's what you're looking for, but it is a sort of ritual value that has some worth to me.
Well, that's actually an interesting point. You know, I remember playing Commander Keen years and years ago on my brother's computer when I was a little kid and thinking, oh, this is the greatest thing in the world and blah, blah, blah. But, you know, coming back to it 20 whatever years later, and trying to play it again, I find myself analyzing it from a completely different perspective, and it starts making me think about the types of work that I can sort of do. So that's a really cool exercise, I think. Matt, what about you? Is there anything that you would recommend as far as either tools or just working methods that you find useful?
I elaborated a bit about like giving yourself time to work on stuff you enjoy, but like doing it in a manageable way last time, I think. Mm-hmm. But I found Trello and like similar tools to like that, like a very light task management tool, to really, really helpful, because you can, if you're doing something that hopefully you'll enjoy doing, it still may not be easy to get through the final process. Finishing work is hard. Everyone doesn't have finished projects. But if you set up little tasks, and you can feel good about hitting those tasks, those lead into the bigger tasks, which will lead into finishing things. And it's pretty similar to professional environment, but if you can feel good about doing little bits of the project, you won't be trying to tackle the whole thing in your brain. And I find like a tool like that to actually plan will help a lot. So you can say, I did this today. It's not like, it's maybe 1% of what you need to do to finish what you're doing, but it's a little win every time. So it's like, I completed this model. It's ultimately not a big thing, but it pushes you, along each rung or something like that.
Yeah, that's actually something that I find myself doing a lot, is doing things like making Trello board or just keeping a physical list right next to my desk or something. It
helps immensely, even if it's just for organization.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely find that it helps kind of encapsulate what I'm doing in small, manageable chunks, and makes it so that I can tick them off and get almost like that gamification of whatever I'm working on.
Yeah, just cheat your brain a little bit.
Yeah. Anthony, what about you? Is there anything that... Oh, there goes the camera. Is there anything that you do in your daily work that you find has been a really successful either method of working or maybe like mental exercise or anything like that?
So I'm like insanely lazy and really easily distracted. So a thing that I'll do is if I'm trying to work on a problem, and then usually just narrative problems because I just write, not real problems. I'll like, the second I start thinking like this is, I'm circling the drain, or it's not working, or I'm not solving a problem right now, I'm just staring at my screen and hoping something happens, because solving a problem is interesting. Staring at your screen is boring. I'll go, okay, time to do something fun for a very short period of time. And so I'll like alt-tab to Steam and play 10 minutes of Doom or something like that. And then the second I start feeling guilty for playing Doom, I'll switch back. And then I'll just bounce back and forth between the others. So if you're standing over my shoulder at work, I look like I never get any work done because there's a 50% chance I'll be playing a video game. But it actually helps me work. I mean, granted, that's maybe the thing you should do and not tell people that you do, because it's very hard to explain why that's worthwhile, but it works for me.
Yeah, that's actually really cool. I've noticed that I get a sort of similar feeling from just getting up and taking a walk around the office. I as soon as I start to feel guilty about just kind of like standing in the kitchen staring out the window, I'm like, oh, I should probably be working now. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I found that actually a lot of people that I talk to have similar methods. They maybe not playing Doom or walking to the kitchen in the office or something, but doing similar things where it's sort of like a weird trick that you trick your brain into thinking, oh, I should be working now, and you instantly get back into problem solving mode.
Yeah, this is too short to be the one that we use later on during the break, but I find that just standing up and talking to somebody else about the same thing that was boring me while sitting in a chair, like, always makes me want to get back to the work after the conversation, because something gets solved that otherwise it comes off as dead because it was just me and a thought. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's always interesting for me, is when as soon as you explain a problem to somebody, it's kind of like the rubber ducky debugging sort of thing.
What I was gonna say.
Yeah, you instantly start to appreciate it from that other angle, right?
Yeah, I think it's because like when we evolved, like all all intelligence was like plumage of a sort. So like all like your ability to articulate what, some complex problems was some like path to getting you laid thousands of years ago. And so like it uses very different parts of the brain to try and explain yourself than to just be alone in a room staring.
I think that's a pretty great encapsulation of what it means to be a human, Jordan. That's perfect. I think we've solved it. Well, I'm feeling.
Meanwhile, let's all escape our lives.
Yeah. Let's get into some nerdy shit so that we can escape our day-to-day drudgery. Let's play some D&D. But first, let's talk about the characters that we're going to be playing. Jordan, let's start off with you. You've been doing this before, or you have done this before, and you've been playing a character that I'm a big fan of now. I just love the hell out of him. So, tell us about the character you're going to be playing.
Sure. So he still doesn't know his actual name. He's forgotten it. He's a sentient bolt of lightning that struck a shepherd in a field because the shepherd had an iron shod kind of staff, and now it's kind of burnt mostly to a crisp. But it remains his kind of casting implement. And the shepherd doesn't really remember anything and is desperately naive. Thinks the best of everybody. Mechanically is an Azamar or a celestial blooded creature, and it is a storm sorcerer. All of his powers are kind of lightning flavored, and he's just, as I've described him before, as a talented idiot, and he will for sure try to shake his purpose out of you.
Yeah, we've played a couple of times before, and every single time that I have seen this character, it has been an absolute pleasure. So thank you for coming back and just blessing me with this again. I love it so much.
Well, it's my pleasure, but you're screwed because now he's in his angsty teenage years.
Oh, perfect. That is absolutely perfect for what I have planned for tonight. Matt, what about you? What character, what class are you playing today?
I guess in comparison, I'm a little paper thin on the characterization, but I am bringing back David Duchovny, for lack of a better name. Rather thin. I mean, considering I'm playing with two writers here, but he's, in class, I'm a cleric, dwarf, of course, but the sort of person who is always looking on the wrong side of things, very pessimistic, will drag you down with him, but is quite reliable when it gets down to it. Always looking on the dark side of every bad situation.
Excellent. And Anthony, what about you?
So I'm playing a ranger that I got from your pre-baked characters, and his name is Gerald. And his story is that he was a highwayman who killed a ranger a long time ago, and then found out he looked exactly like him, and is having to sort of like inhabit this guy's like life and like be friends with the people he's friends with, and sort of had to learn how to be a ranger just to justify the charade. It's like Chicken Boo from Animaniacs. Chicken Boo, but like a guy. So if he seems like he doesn't quite know how to be a ranger, that's why.
All right. Well, I think that is an excellent setup for getting into a character that you're not very familiar with. I think it's perfect. And speaking of things that we're not all familiar with, well, one or two of us might be, but the Adventurers Guild. It's a very large guild, very, very rich, and there are chapters of the Adventurers Guild across the world. It's a multi-continental guild. Now, you guys happen to be in the Adventurers Guild in the city of Villamier. It's a pretty large city. It's a pretty cosmopolitan city. It's coastal. It's along main trade routes. And, being an adventurer is it's sort of a multi-level sort of thing that has people from all different walks of life, because honestly, in this day and age, adventuring can just be a career, or that's how they sell it to you. What it really boils down to, though, is that if you've just gotten into the Adventurers Guild, you're going to get the shit jobs. And you guys are not exactly high level. And that means you're probably getting shit jobs pretty regularly. Today is no different. Just a few minutes ago, you guys, as you were sitting in the common room having breakfast, probably at different tables, saw Lord Dariano Vexler, one of the heads of the two largest noble houses in the city, stride in like a peacock into the Adventurers Guild, go to the Guildmaster's office, and slam the door behind him with his powdered-wigged attendant in tow. Now, it's unclear exactly what's going on in that office right now. There is... there's always a bit of a hush when one of the nobles comes into the common room, and today's no different. Everybody kind of clammed up to listen to what might leak out from under the door. And today, all you can hear is some slight whispering. But just a couple moments later, after you start to see some of the stealthier members of the Adventurers Guild start to creep up to the door to hopefully listen just a little bit, the door swings open, and that same attendant to Lord Vexler pops his head out and then skitters back over to the entrance to the Adventurers Guild. He opens it up, looks around outside, goes like this to someone, and then goes back to the office. Now, just a moment later, the door swings open, and the head of the City Watch actually walks in to the Adventurers Guild. Now, this is somebody who you probably wouldn't want to cross on most days. He's a big, burly man, not necessarily known for being corrupt, but certainly for being stern. And he walks in, takes a look around at every single person in the common room, and then walks back to the office, still keeping an eye on the bright blue crackling figure of Nimbus, just out of the corner of his eye. He just kind of pokes his head into the office and then leans back, looks around, and having caught his eye, he actually beckons you forward. He just does this, which is not something you'd expect from that big, meaty hand of his. And looking around the room, he sees that the stealthier members of the Adventurers Guild are shrinking back into the corners, and locks eyes with Anthony and Matt, just almost as a matter of course, and beckons you forward as well. He doesn't say anything.
I stand up immediately. Nobody was sitting next to me at my table because every fucking morning I activate my robe of scintillating colors, and it like stuns people who are nearby. So I look like a very lonely disco ball, and I stand up. The robe finally deactivates, which is good because otherwise it would stun all of you. And then I walk over, just like hand outstretched, like I think he's trying to shake my hand.
So as you approach, he looks you up and down, glances at the still slightly glinting cloak that you wear, gives an approving nod, and doesn't go to shake your hand, but he does usher you into the office of the Guildmaster, and then turns back to Matt and Anthony, and once again beckons you forth wordlessly.
I intensify my glower, but I step forward.
I match you step for step, just kind of like whatever this seems like the thing I should be doing. Yeah, why not? Hell yeah.
As you two approach the door, you can see that Bailey, the guildmaster of the Adventurers Guild, is instead of sitting very lazily with a bottle of some kind of liquor like he usually is, he's standing up straight. You've never actually seen this man stand up straight. It's actually pretty rare to see him standing at all. He does have wheels on his chair that he likes to roll around, roll over the door, and roll back to his desk. So the fact that he is standing up straight means that something interesting is going on. And entering into this small office, it's definitely not big enough for the 6-7 people that are standing in it now. And the head of the City Watch closes the door behind you and sort of looms over everyone. You see now that this man is easily 6'5" and very used to looming. It seems like looming is part of his. It's like his entire repertoire is just different methods of looming over people. And he sort of leans forward, looking over at Lord Vexler. Now, Lord Vexler is a very fancily dressed man, and, he struts. Today, though, he looks not just fancy, he also looks a little worried. Now, Bailey, the guildmaster, he looks at all three of you and says, "This doesn't leave the room. All right?"
Yeah.
All right.
Shrug.
All right. So, as you know, over the past few weeks, some of the criminals around the city who the City Watch is supposed to be taking care of, and he sort of shoots some daggers out of his eyes at the head of the watch. They've been found strung up by their ankles from some of the lamps around town, mostly around where the City Watch is supposed to be taking care of things. Now, Lord Vexler here has come to me with some interesting information. And at that, Lord Vexler actually kind of pipes up and looks at all three of you, appraising you, not in a very friendly way. And he says, "Yes, it's come to my attention through my connections in the City Watch that someone is doing your job for you. Some vigilante has been taking care of some of the criminal element of the city. Now, we believe this is a ruse, something that's meant to throw the City Watch off his trail so that he can do some more nefarious thing than stringing up his competition. And we need people who are unconnected with the City Watch to investigate and find this person. We believe he has plans for the New Year's celebration. We believe he has something that he is going to do. Most of the men that he strung up were involved with smuggling and distribution of weapons to the lowlifes that the City Watch is supposed to be taking care of. And we believe that with all of these shipments now being disappeared and their previous owners being strung up for the City Watch to just simply find as opposed to pursue, we believe they're going to be used for something. Now, the only thing we can think of, that my security team can think of, and that the mayors of the city can think of, is that they are going to be used at the celebration of the new year. We believe there may be an attack during the parades or the celebrations thereafter. And we need people who can figure it out. People who are unconnected with the very clearly corrupt City Watch.
Ooh. I have learned that humans find it extremely rude when you talk about them as if they weren't in the room. That gentleman's clothes imply that he's part of the City Watch. Pretty awkward for you. So, just looking out.
Terribly so.
Like the guy, the vigilante, is he good at like detective work? Because I don't want to say I have priors, but I am prior. I have. There are things. Go on.
No, that's pretty much it. We need people who are unconnected to the City Watch. So you're it, apparently. I guess this the head of the watch thinks that you're capable. So it's on you now. There will be a reward if that's what you're looking for.
Yeah.
Sounds like a crock of shit. But Lord.
Oh yeah, yeah, I guess so. Whatever he says, really. Whatever either of them say, really. Maybe not that one. Actually, just this guy. Whatever this guy says.
All right. Well, the celebrations are meant to commence on the new year, which well, is evidently coming soon. So I need you to find out exactly what's going on before we have to worry about any sort of gunfights or explosions or murders or anything else like that happening. Do you think you're capable of doing that?
Yeah, we'll see.
We'll see.
I don't know, we've got a lot going on.
Absolutely.
A lot going on.
Gonna be great.
At least we have someone with confidence. I like you. And sir, I must say, I need to know where you got your robe. It is gorgeous.
Arcanist Lem gave it to me. She promised she's going to tell me about my purpose. She hasn't done it yet, but she's busy rebuilding her house from a time problem.
I have absolutely no idea what you just said. I don't know what any of it means, but I will pay you for that fancy cloak.
I'm sorry. I've also learned that humans hate nudity, like way more than you would think. So I'm going to keep this on because there's nothing under there.
Oh my. He kind of turns to Bailey, the guildmaster, and he's like, what kind of people do you employ here? My God. Anyway, yes, there will be a reward if that's what you're looking for, but please, get this done over the next night or so. It's less than a week until this damned celebration, and I still have too much to plan. Can you do this for me?
I suppose. As long as we're getting paid.
The man in the fancy cloak gave the affirmative. I'm going to assume that you two will probably follow his lead, since he actually knows what he's doing here.
Yeah, I'm all about that. Following leads. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. What are we doing?
All right. Well, now that you have exposed yourself for what you truly are, I'm going to leave. I don't want to be involved when you inevitably have the rest of your life come crashing down on you, whatever that sad, pathetic excuse for life is. And with that, he Lord Vexler stands up and gestures to the man who is still looming, who opens the door, and they all start to shuffle out between you guys, leaving just you and Bailey in the office. Anything you'd like to do here before you get started?
To Bailey, I say, last time, you told us sort of where to start. Do you know where to start?
Well, depends on where you're trying to start, but, sorry. Jeez, this cough. Well, I know that they're holding most of the prisoners and the people who were strung up at, the main building for the head watch downtown. You could, for the city watch downtown. You could try going down there, talking to them. I don't know if they'll let you talk to them, but that's about all I can think of.
Sounds a bit like a waste of time to me. Do we have to do all of this? Seems like a lot of work.
Well, if you want to get paid.
So my character didn't hear any of that, just so the two of you know, because I'm busy walking towards him with like electric fingers going, I can fix that cough. And I immediately waste my lesser restoration for the day on this guy to try and fix his lungs.
So as you're sort of approaching, and you at this point you'd have to kind of like halfway lean over his desk and like reach towards him. As you do, he kind of like backs away, but there's just wall behind him, and he's like, no. And he almost lets out this little girlish squeak just as you start to touch him, and then he's like, oh, wow, okay, well, all right, yeah, it feels better. You know what? I like you. I didn't like you before, but I like you now.
I like me too.
So, what would you guys like to do?
I guess get on with it.
Yeah, I guess I go where he said we should go.
All right. So heading out of the guild hall, you guys start making your way towards the the main City Watch building. On the way there, you can see that there's a lot of traffic coming to and from various parts of the city. It's a lot busier than usual. It seems like people are really gearing up for this sort of end of the year party. But you guys eventually do make your way there after about maybe half an hour of walking. It's a pretty large city. And arriving at the main building for the City Watch, you find that there are several people sort of protesting outside. And as you get closer, you can see that their signs have, slogans about how they're not doing their jobs and that, vigilantes aren't welcome in Villamier, and that they should, pick things up, that the City Watch should hire more people, blah, blah, blah. They have some chants going. They have all kinds of stuff going on. It's not an ugly sight. It's fairly peaceful, but they are very clearly unhappy with the fact that the City Watch are being shown up by apparently some sort of vigilante.
You guys, what's a vigilante?
It's like us, but they don't get paid for it.
Oh. I'm going to become one of those. Nobody ever gives me anything.
So I mean, we could like split up his take, which I'm down with. Guy just got on my good side. I say out loud, not realizing I'm supposed to be sneaky about it.
I'm starting to feel better about this job now.
All right, so walking up the steps, it almost looks like a courthouse, this building. It's a large stone building with tall columns out front. And approaching the two big wooden doors, you can see that one of them is ajar, and there's a guard standing there. Looks like he's just meant there to sort of like keep out the riffraff and, keep out protesters. But aside from that, it seems like he's just kind of standing there going about his business. He just nods at you as you enter the building. And as you enter the the building here, there is a large main foyer area with chairs around the sides and benches, and there is a main desk, which is a large semicircle with a very thin gentleman sitting there who looks like he's probably one of the lower ranking members of the City Watch. He's got a very large ledger in front of him, which is just apparently used for people to sign in. And it looks like he is just writing some letters and putting the official stamp of the watch onto them. Looks like he's getting ready to, send some letters out for the day and such.
Hello.
Hello. Can I help you, sirs?
I turn to you guys and I say, "Your turn." I made the introduction.
Can I help you? What is your business here with the City Watch?
Oh, I can help. We're here because you're not doing your job, and we're supposed to do it, I think, better.
Where's the dead bodies?
God, Christ! They're supposed to. And he actually gestures to some guys who are just essentially standing guard in this large foyer area, and he's like, they're not supposed to be in here. Oh, don't fuck! Get them out! Get them out! The protesters belong outside.
I don't want to be here either, but we've got a job from the guildmaster.
I'm sorry. What job? What are you talking about?
Sorry, they would fill in. Sorry. Yeah, I didn't have the next line planned.
I'm sorry. What? Just what is going on here? I have documents to sign. I have letters to.
There's dead criminals, but they're doing it wrong, and we're supposed to stop them doing it wrong.
There's a thing that
I've learned the word vigilante.
Oh, you're here from the guild. Oh,
Right.
God.
Yes, right. Yes.
I was told you'd be coming. It would help if you had explained that at the start. Okay, yes.
We don't have time for that.
Who told you they were dead? They're not dead. They were just strung up by their heels. My God. No, the cell block is just down this way. Gordon, can you please help these gentlemen, these men, back to the cell block? I have to finish this writing. And as he says that, a large guy in an official City Watch uniform comes up and he's like, "Come with me, please. We're going to the cell block, right?" Yeah?
Yes.
All right. So he leads you into the rear of the building, and there is a large cell block back there with, heavy iron bars and such. There you can see lots and lots of different people in there, presumably for lots of different crimes. One of the cells is actually packed with people who all appear to be horribly drunk. Presumably that's their excuse for a drunk tank. But then the Gordon gestures to the back and he's like, back there in the corner there, that's most of the people who've been strung up over the past few days. They're just waiting on their trials and stuff. If you want to go talk to them, go ahead. I mean, honestly, I don't give a shit. I don't get paid enough to stop you guys, so it's up to you, man. And he kind of like just turns his back and pretends that you're not there.
Nice.
So I approach some of the prisoners and I go, has any of you heard anything about that highway, or about that vigilante looking for highwaymen? Yes? No? Are any of you highwaymen? No?
You can't prove anything, man.
Nice.
I didn't do it. I didn't do anything, man.
I totally imagine that Anthony's character, whose name I've already forgotten, is like casually like pulling down a poster of himself.
Just drawing mustaches onto them, so they're looking for somebody like me, but with a mustache.
It's totally a different person.
Yeah. At the rear of the cell, you can see that whoever this guy is who was talking is this like short, pudgy guy who's actually surprisingly clean shaven, or he just can't grow a beard. You can't really tell which. And he's like leaning forward and he's like,
You don't know anything, you guys. Just don't say anything to them. They're just cops, man. Don't
We're
tell them
not
anything.
cops. Can I be honest with you? I hate cops.
Yeah, that's exactly what a cop would say, man.
I try to. Let's see. What is my?
I'm gonna walk up to the bar, rattle it, and just, hey, you! What do you see? Hey, shorty! Ignoring the fact I'm shorter than him.
What, man?
Come on, man. Just let us know.
I didn't say
happened?
anything. I didn't say nothing happened, man. I'm falsely accused, man. You can't prove anything, man. Like,
no. And he kind of like leans back, trying to hide behind some thinner people who are right next to him. He's like, no.
I think we're supposed to catch the person who caught you because they're too good at it.
That's right. They're too good at it, man. They're sending fucking spies out from the oh no shit no.
Spies of. Tell your buddy more.
Do a persuasion check.
All right.
Tell your good friends.
That is a 16.
So he kind of like leans back and he's like, man, they're like sending ninjas and spies and shit to like catch my buddies and stuff. Like my buddies didn't do anything, I swear. But like this dude keeps like breaking into people's houses and just like bringing them here to the police. Like even though they didn't do anything, none of us here did anything, right? And you can see that all the other people in this cell, some of whom are standing up because there's no room, others sitting on the floor, are all just like, yeah, we didn't do anything. We don't know anything, man. Yeah.
What kind of things did you all not do? Is there any connection between the things you did not do?
Oh man, none of us have ever done anything, man. We've never committed any crimes in our lives.
And everybody's like, no, we never committed crimes.
I never sold drugs to nobody, and they keep telling me I'm selling drugs. This guy, he never sold any of those guns. Like it was all bullshit, man. It was just bullshit charges, man.
I immediately turn to these two and I say, I get it now. It's a huge misunderstanding. This vigilante is putting innocent men behind bars, clearly.
Yeah.
I like start going over to the watch guy, and he's like pointedly looking away, and I'm like, tap, 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 tap. They're innocent. You should actually let them out.
He like looks behind. And he's like, no, I don't know. That's for the court to decide, man.
And it takes me like, with my intelligence of 8, it takes me like 4 or 5 minutes to give up on that strategy, making me useless to the rest of this discussion.
So about this time, as you're very dedicatedly trying to convince this guardsman that he's somehow got something wrong, another guy comes to apparently to relieve him. Looks like he's just essentially the guard for that general area of this part of the jail, and someone comes to relieve him. A smaller guy, but still fit. He's not as like hulking. He's more of just like an athletic dude, and he's like, "Sorry, can I ask what you gentlemen are doing here?"
Your job.
Ooh.
I'm sorry. My job is to guard these prisoners, make sure that nobody gets in or out, make sure that everybody back here has the proper credentials to be talking to these folks. Can I ask exactly who you are and how you got in here?
Not your job.
Through the front door.
Okay, I'm detecting a little bit of sarcasm. I'm not... It's a little early in the day for that for me, okay? I'm sorry. I had a long night shift. Can we just... Look, are you guys here? Oh, you... God damn it. They never tell us any... You guys are here from the guild, right? Fuck!
Yeah.
Fuck! Okay.
We've learned some very interesting things from your prisoners
What
that
did...
you don't need to know because you would waste all the knowledge.
Okay, I can tell you what we do know if that'll help get you out of here. Look, I mean, it's good that they're trying to enlist outside help, but we don't need any more of this weird stuff going on. We've already got way too much to worry about out in the city. Can you just, look, if you learn something new, can you please just tell me so I can tell my boss and he can tell his boss?
Totally.
Okay, so what have you learned? Because I know what we know.
Well, according to these guys, they didn't do it.
They didn't do anything. Turns out, just a crazy vigilante. I guess I'm rolling deception because I presumably know that is a lie.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, do a deception check.
I guess we're actively deceiving him.
7.
Yeah, he like looks at you and he's like, I have absolutely no idea what the hell you're talking about, but look, if you want to actually get the testimony from these people that they've been giving in court, you can just go down to the records office. It's just down the hall. I don't know what your plan was here, but we have everything written down, and I'm sure that these guys are not actually going to tell you any useful fucking information because, good God, they're all guilty as sin, and they know it.
Well,
My mind
like
is blown. I'm just like... I'm like, that's not what they told us.
They lied to us.
Yeah, they're criminals. They lie to people for a living.
So there is or is not a ninja master.
Oh well, I don't know about ninja masters, but I know that it wasn't the watch that brought them in initially. They were strung up on the poles right outside. Those light poles. They were just hanging by their fucking ankles. It's been 3 weeks of this bullshit. Now, if you guys need to get the testimony from all those folks back there, I can get that for you. I mean, it is a matter of public record. I need you to not go and talk to all of our prisoners. Is that something that you can do? Please?
All right.
All right. Yeah, it's all right.
Sarcasm!
Yeah, that is sarcasm, Mr. Cloak. All right, look, go to the Hall of Records. That'll have all the information you need. Please, just get out of my hair, okay? This is a stressful enough day already for everybody, especially with those protesters outside. Can you do that, please?
Sounds fine to me.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I wasn't being sarcastic. That's just how I talk.
Okay, I'm sorry. I will try to be better at that in the future when you come back here on official business.
You're forgiven.
Thank you.
Again, very sincere.
Okay. Anyway, yeah, Hall of Records is just on the other side of the main staircase. You can go right over there. They'll help you out. Can you do that for me and just get out of my hair? Is that something you
It
can
seemed
do?
like you guys liked each other a lot the way you were talking. Like, are you best?
Oh
friends
yeah,
now?
we've got a
I was-
rapport going. Oh, it's great. Yeah.
I'm developing a will they, won't they with him.
Yes, exactly. So I guess I proceed in the direction of the Hall of Records or whatever that he was referring to, because I always take the first suggestion given by anyone.
As we go, I tap Gerald on the kneecap, I guess. I don't know how tall he is. This is now a bad time to say I can't read.
There's never a bad time to be honest about your own limitations.
I really appreciate that, man.
It's all good.
So heading over to the Hall of Records, you can actually see that there are several people in there, just like from the general public, who are going through lots of the records and stuff. And it's almost like a library over there in that there are, people at a desk, and, there are some people like reshelving some books and stuff. But in general, it's just essentially a bunch of bookcases and filing cabinet type situations. And checking with the librarian or receptionist or whatever she is, this rather young elf lady directs you to most of the case files for the people who were back there. And looking through them over the next couple hours, you do find that most of these people had actually been wanted for drug-related crimes, murders, smuggling, generally things that have to do with a lot of the more unsavory elements down at, say, the docks and places where it'd be easiest to smuggle things into and out of the city. Most of them do indeed have to do with guns, explosives, various types of weaponry, and something that would stick out is that in every single one of these cases, the places where these people were known for either residing or being seen around, when the City Watch investigated those places, they were completely cleaned out. There were no weapons, no explosives. Even the the more reputable people who were actually in the business of buying and selling weapons to, say, the military, anyone who had connections to any of these people in the cell back there who was in that type of business, all of their inventory has been wiped out, completely gone. And this has been happening over the past 3 or so weeks.
So I'm quiet for about a minute after we sort of finish reading through all this stuff. And I say, follow me if you can, guys. But I've just learned that people can say one thing and do another. I think we should go to the docks and be criminals. Not really, but we'd be pretending to be criminals. And then the vigilante will try to string us up, and then we'll say, quit it.
I was actually going to have a very similar idea, but now hearing it in your voice, I realize that maybe it's not the best idea. I think we have you stand in the middle and say very loudly, boy, I wish I had somebody who would buy all these guns I have to sell on my person. Underneath this cloak, it's literally nothing but guns.
But I wouldn't actually have the guns.
You wouldn't. You'd be saying one thing but meaning another.
I love it. I'm learning so much.
See no reason not to do this right now.
You know this is what we're doing now, Xavier, right? like that's
It sounds like a bad idea, so of course we're doing
being
it.
the worst criminals. That's happening.
Oh my god, this is good.
All right, so what are you guys doing?
Well, first we need to find some fake guns. Pretend guns.
Yeah, and I have to go, what are you buying? But
What are you selling?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea, right? Like we could at least pretend to, like, out of character, like the Adventurers Guild probably has boxes and stuff, right? Like we could put together some crates.
Yeah. Yeah, you'd be able to find some crates. The supply room at the Adventurers Guild does contain lots of crates, some of them full of equipment, some of them empty, along with a lot of the different types of equipment and basic weapons that you guys would probably need access to in adventuring. So like basic swords, basic knives.
We gotta steal their stuff.
I'm clearly like I have a piece of parchment out, and you guys can see me practicing a silhouette of a gun, and I've misspelled guns underneath it. Like I'm getting ready to prepare the crates.
GUN''S.
I think this idea is perfectly within the bounds of our group's intelligence scores.
Okay.
So,
Although I think the best we're going to get is wandering up and down the docks screaming, "I got guns."
is there a way to use this? I guess this is kind of out of character because I'm not sure how survival works.
Mm-hmm.
But like, what's the stat for like making a cool trap, a booby trap for a box that has gun''S on it?
I would say it would sort of depend. Survival is more for doing things like tracking an animal through a forest or something like that, or scrounging for mushrooms or whatever. It would probably be if you have some sort of proficiency with a certain type of tool. It would probably be in that realm, depending upon the types of tools. But you could try to rig something up using your intelligence and dexterity, depending upon what it is. So you'd probably want to describe like what you're trying to do, and then you would make an intelligence check to see if you can actually get it fucking working.
So here's the plan I've come up with. Using my skills as a ranger and not a highwayman, I am very well attuned to how to steal feral cats from the street. I could wrangle the most feral and rabid-looking one into a box that has gun''S on it. When he opens the box, the feral cat, not a gun, although we could name it gun''S, so we wouldn't even be lying if we get arrested for this, immediately attacks his face. Very much like a bomb, except something I'm actually skilled in rolling for.
That sounds like something that you could probably manage. Yes,
I've heard worse ideas.
I haven't, and I'm the one who said it.
All right, so you guys want to go and find a crate and some sort of markers and write gun''S on a crate?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Is there anything else that you guys want to do as you're sort of getting this plan ready? Any sort of preparation?
It's perfect. What else could we need?
Yeah, I get an audience around to see how good it's going to be.
All right, so heading back to the Adventurers Guilds, you're able to go to the supply room and ask the supply master if you could just have an empty crate, and he's like, "Yeah, just here, take it." And he like goes and grabs a box that's empty. It's about yay big and just kind of a square. It's exactly what you think of when you think of a crate in, say, a video game. And he just like hands it to you, and he's like, "Have fun, guys."
We are. Thanks.
All right. So you have your crate. You have some sort of piece of parchment or something that you want to stick to it. What are you doing next?
Oh no, that was just practicing the design. I'm now carefully hand painting it just as bad. Like it's like clearly the worst child's drawing of a gun with misspelled and probably backwards letters.
I think this is where the montage comes in. Where it's like you're painting these letters, you just look back at me for approval. I'm just like, it looks good.
Yeah.
That's how you spell it.
The montage that requires no other cuts. Like it's just I do this one thing because our plan has one step in it.
While he's doing that, I go out into the alleyways and I feel like I should roll animal handling to see if I can find a cat.
This is actually be where you would do a survival check, because you would want to like track a cat down, but then to actually go and get the cat and not have it claw your face off, that'd be animal handling. Yeah.
Okay, I'll track it.
All right.
That is a 13.
So it does actually take you a surprising amount of time, like a couple hours to go down various alleys, and you start to suspect because the Adventurers Guild Hall is actually in a pretty nice area of town. But yeah, you do eventually find a stray cat, but it looks like it's actually just kind of chilling up on a roof, like on a corner, just like sitting in the sun, asleep. It's almost like sitting in a gutter right near a drain, and it's up there. It's probably on the second story of this building, and you can see that it's there. It's the only cat you've seen in like 3 hours, and it's actually genuinely exciting to see this thing because you've been just fucking looking around for a damn cat, and now you finally have one, but it's still just out of reach.
Right? I feel like I should climb up there stealthily and nab myself a new friend.
Okay.
I
Unwilling friend.
like way too close to you. I'm like a few inches from your face, and I have my arm around you, and I'm like, new best friend. And I twin the spell fly using my sorcerer powers on both of us, and then we're just like off into the sky, probably right past the cat. You can disentangle from me whatever you want, but I still have my arm around you until you physically push me away.
I immediately do. I'm like,
So you rise into the air, your feet kind of kicking, and your arms just like, oh, I've never flown before, my God. And you start to just rise up towards this cat. And as you just instinctually kind of exclaim just like this, the cat wakes up, and you can see that it's looking down at you. And as you're rising up towards it, you can see this dawning look of realization coming across its feline face. And it's like it kind of stands up, and it's like, what's this? As you're just slowly getting up there, what do you want to do?
I reach and I say, I mean you no harm. I reach out with both hands as if to encompass it in a hug, which all cats love. We all know that.
Okay, do an animal handling check.
Fine.
Let me see here. So that yeah. So as you're just sort of reaching up just to embrace this kitty, you can see its hackles go up, and it just goes and starts running up along the roof directly away from you.
I just shout up from the ground, "You missed it!"
I go, crazy flying friend whose name I've forgotten. Help me catch the cat. It'll be our best friend.
You got it. And I sort of like, I was probably just going to keep soaring on the high of having a new friend, but I bank and kind of come around and try to catch the cat from the other side.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna, like, I don't know whether it would be better to like aid another, like, the help action to give him advantage on a new check, or just make my own check. Like, which makes more sense to you?
I would say if there is a bad decision that you want to make in character, do that one.
Okay. Well, then I will. Let's see. I have so many bad decisions available. Okay. Let's see. Oh boy, that would be bad. I guess I will just like really my character would just be like, "Kitty!" It's like arms outstretched, and like I try to grab the cat and give it a hug.
Okay. So it is going to try to run away from you. Do a dexterity check.
Okay. Here we go. Oh, not so good. That is a 9.
Yeah, so it rolled a 13 on its saving throw. So it, as you go barreling towards it, just shot like a cannon out of the air, it sees you coming and once again hisses and then just starts running off. And you're able to just barely get the tip of its tail, and then it slips out from your grasp. It's now running along the roof, parallel to the alley, which Matt is still standing down in.
Perfect. Xavier,
Yeah.
I'm going to use my minor illusion cantrip and create the image of a very scary looking dog in the cat's path.
Okay.
Just right up on the roof.
All right. Yeah. So as you guys are watching from up above, looking down on the roof, this swirling mass of light and energy just coalesces into a huge, just thick fucking. It's like if Cujo had sex with an angry wolf and they just appeared on a roof right in front of this cat. That's exactly what happens. And the cat rolls a 2 on its wisdom to try and see through this. It's pretty sure it's an actual dog that's just appeared there, and it skids along the roof as it's trying to stop, and almost barrels into this illusion of a dog and tries to run sort of sideways up the roof again. What are you guys doing?
I'm still on the ground. I can't get up there.
Anthony, what are you doing? You're probably
in character.
Yeah.
He stopped to eat. Just hold on a second.
Yeah. Anthony, what are you doing?
I feel like looking at my abilities, I'll like hurt something very badly, and I feel like those are not good. I have a hunting trap. Probably something I could have used before I attacked the cat.
Just throw it at the cat.
Can I like veer ahead of it and try to set my hunting trap down?
Yeah, do another do a dexterity check to see if you can like angle into the right position.
Okay. That is a 9.
All right.
Welcome. We are.
So as you're sort of angling down, pulling out your hunting trap, and it kind of like springs into shape with this little door. It's made of like small lengths of wire that have all been twisted together in this very ornate sort of complex design that just pops into a 3-dimensional sort of trap. You just angle it down in front of this thing, and it tries to stop. It skids along, but these slate tiles on the roof are just too slippery as it's barreling forward. And as it tries to stop, it trips over the lid of the trap that's been extended down in front of it, and it just rolls directly into the trap. And you're able to just like close it up, and you are now holding a feral, angry, shrieking cat that's trying to swipe at you through the gaps in the wire.
Oh man, fantastic!
Job
Watch
done.
out, evildoers! Lest we fail forward right over you.
Back down, put that shit in the guns box, and we have ourselves the worst plan of all time.
All right, awesome. So yeah, you managed to get down and sort of upend this thing, and for a second, this cat is like sticking to the inside, but you do manage to kind of like eventually shake it off down into the crate. And as it shakes off down in the crate, it immediately tries to spring out. Do an acrobatics check to see if you can actually
acrobatics than a
close it
cat.
in time.
24.
Oh, yeah. So as you can actually see what it's about to do, and you're just like, nope. And you just slam the lid down on this thing. And you can hear it scratching along the sides and across the lid. It's just going. But it is now firmly affixed inside this guns crate. You lift it up.
Oh, man.
And you now have the best trap in existence.
Beautiful.
What do you want to do?
You know this cat's the final boss for our ultra remedial party, right? Like with just for our suboptimal competence. I'm just beaming like, wow, you're the best. Like I clearly like I don't actually say anything, but I'm just like.
It's like sit the crate for a second.
By which I mean my expertise that I've gleaned from knowing highwaymen as a ranger tells me the best thing to do is have one, if not two of us hide, while the other one is the trap, the honeypot, as certain highwaymen would say.
All right. So how are you guys going to do this? What do you want to do going forward? It's currently about midday. The nobles and other folks came into the Adventurers Guild pretty early in the morning as you guys were having breakfast. So it's just after noon now. The sun is high in the sky. Is there anything that you guys want to do, or do you want to wait for the rest of the day to wait till it's dark? Anything like that?
Well, I just say, how do criminals dress? We should dress like that.
I look down at my clothes and I say,
kind of like John's
"John."
right there.
Okay, so you look at your own clothes and say, done.
Yep.
All right, I say, we should get clothes just like he's got. Good thing you're not a criminal. And I did just get like.
All right. So you guys want to do a little bit of shopping and find some clothes for yourselves?
Makeover.
Hit up the H&M.
All right. Yeah. So
I'm drunk on the power of deception.
all right. So there are different types of clothing and equipment you could get from the Adventurers Guild, or you could go and get something a little nicer at one of the local shops. It's really up to you what you want to do.
I want to dress like stupidly exactly like him, like waste hours looking for his precise outfit. Like it's extremely literal.
Okay. And Matt, what do you want to do?
I think the level of effort that David Duchovny would like to put into this is throw a dirty robe over his barely hidden armor and cleric clothing.
All right. Well, that's not going to be too difficult. You are certainly able to find a dirty robe for like 2 copper that you are able to just kind of like lift from one of the local homeless people. Meanwhile,
good for a deal.
Meanwhile, over the next probably 4 or 5 hours, Jordan, you drag Anthony to multiple different clothing stores all throughout the city, clothing and armor shops, places where you could get, all kinds of riding clothes, just anywhere where you are think there might be clothing, you go there just to try to find something that matches exactly. It is a very long day of shopping, but you do manage to come up with some stuff that is pretty perfect. It's not exact because, they each, Anthony's clothes each has their own little story behind it. But
the story is I stabbed the guy that was wearing these.
Yeah, pretty much. Most of them
suspicious hole in the dark stain in the chest.
Most of them do have holes in various locations, but you do manage to find very similar clothes, and you are now both looking surprisingly almost twin-like in your appearance, although with the caveat that one of you does have a very shiny cape.
Yeah, no, exactly. Like I what I really want is for this to be one of those 80s shopping montages where like normally during the shopping montage where I keep coming out wearing different stuff, like the person's going like, yeah or no. And in this case, every time he's like, no, but I just keep doing it.
Yes.
And then at the very end, like I look exactly like him, except that there's light leaking out of every goddamn seam from the robe underneath.
That is pretty much exactly how it goes. Yeah. And there are several times where he tries to kind of like sneak away, but you're so excited by the idea of dressing just like him that you manage to go and grab him and bring him back.
We're not done, best friend.
Yeah.
I like irritated, but I'm irritated, but I let it happen just because I'm like so glad that he helped me catch that cat, because otherwise I would have felt so embarrassed.
So over the next 5 or 6 hours, the sun starts to set. It's getting darker, a little chillier in the city. You guys still have a very angry cat in a box in your possession.
It's just, I bet you could just hear it. It's not obvious.
Yeah, for most of the day, it actually just spends its time yowling very pitifully as it sits on one of your bunks in the bunkhouse at the Adventurers Guild Hall.
I was hoping I was just carrying the thing around all day while following them on their shopping journey.
I mean, if you wanted to follow them, we can absolutely say that. Though you'll probably not be allowed into many shops with a yowling box that says guns. But you never know. You never know. Regardless, you do find your outfit, and the sun is going down, and the lamplighters are coming out to light all the oil lamps around town. It's getting a bit dark, a bit chilly. A lot of shops are closing for the night. What would you like to do?
I guess it's time to head to the waterfront, or wherever we may choose.
Okay.
Yeah, waterfront sounds good.
Yeah.
Why not?
All right. So heading to the waterfront, you can see that even post sunset.
I'm like, like as we're walking, I look at these two guys and I go, "Let's sell some guns, mother shitters." Like I do my best, and it cracks exactly like that.
Just giggling at the end of every line.
So you make your way over to the docks, and the docks here in Villamier are extensive. They're almost the entire width of the city, though the city does go pretty far inland, and there are dozens, hundreds of boats coming and going even after dark. There are lots of lamps and torches and other stuff, just put in holders along the entire length of these docks. Though it is notable that certain areas seem a bit darker and dingier than others. Seems like the areas that touch the areas of the docks that touch the more hoity-toity areas of towns, a little better lit than the ones that touch what passes for slums in this city. And there's actually a surprising amount of hustle and bustle in this area, despite it being after dark. What do you guys want to do?
Well,
So-
that's a good question. We didn't get this far in our plan, did we?
I can hide in a darker area with my ranger skills, and then David, you could pretend to buy some guns, I guess, loudly. I know that the cadence of that sentence made it seem like that was only the second step in a longer plan, but I realized when I came to the end of that sentence, it's about all I got.
So someone tries to buy our guns, and then we throw a cat at them?
No. You guys pretend to buy each other's guns, and then the vigilante shows up, and you go, take the guns, please. He goes for the gun box. The cat comes out at him, and while he's messed up by the cat, I strike, and then you also strike. It's like a three-prong. We call it a three-prong in the highwayman business. And we always say, just like you're about to finish it with a better joke, but then you don't. It's always that pronounced a three-prong, like with the tailing end.
I say, sounds legit.
I just learned what that means.
And I like improvising a two-man scripted event. I wait for Anthony to sort of recede into the darkness, and then I square up and I say, "No, sir, these guns are not legal.
Are we just
I know
like,
there are legal types of guns, but these are not that kind. I demand a very high price." And then I look over exactly to where Anthony is, and I say, "Deception."
All right, Jordan.
are we just in the middle of the street? Is that where we are?
Jordan, do a performance check for me.
Okay, here we go. Hey, not bad. 17.
So as you're going through your one man show here on the docks.
Oh no, it was two man. I was.
Oh yeah, but really.
Oh
Is
yeah,
it?
no, I probably made it worse than two man. We're at -1 man.
Yes, your 2 minus 1 man show progresses, and over the next few minutes, some of the guys working on the docks nearby. There's one that is one of these docks has a rather large ship docked at it, and they've been just moving crates and stuff back and forth. They actually stop and they come to actually look at what's going on, and so, a couple of them are like, "Oh, is this a performance? Oh, I keep hearing about these street performers here in the city. This is awesome. Oh man!" And one of them is actually like, "Hey, Captain, can we go and look? Can we watch?" And you can see that a woman with this tightly pulled back bun leans off the ship and looks at you and looks at the rest of her crew, and she's like, "Okay, fine. 5 minutes, okay? 5 minutes, and then we'll back to work. And they're like, "Yeah!" And they all sort of like gather around you as you're going through your 2 minus 1 man show. What do you want to do?
Well, it's avant-garde AF because I keep running through the same loop. Like literally, those are the only lines I have. So it is very
You're a
video
thief,
game.
NPC.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's as far as we got. So I keep haggling with this silent partner over this gun that he
Should
just
we go for
refuses
drinks
to
later
buy.
tonight? Absolutely.
Yes, exactly. At some point, I say, "I saw a mud crab." Like it just goes on and on.
David is just doing his best like the first time at an improv performance, just ham-fisted. "I would love these guns. These are good.
Yeah, I say
Illegal.
that actually
guns."
that's even better. Like I think it's even more important than I'm kind of like you're a dwarf, so I'm sort of
Yeah.
staring over where your head would be while I'm projecting. Like
I'm just this.
yeah, it is the worst deception in the history of this city. There should be a statue of us on the spot.
All right.
We're gonna be making some money.
Do another performance check. Now, I would say do it with disadvantage because you are just repeating the same stuff over and over. However, technically you get advantage because someone is helping you.
Okay.
So technically, with disadvantage
roll.
and advantage, it is a straight roll. So just do a
Failing
regular,
forward.
yeah, just do a regular performance check.
That's a gorgeous
this
roll.
is-
That is a 4.
Is not so great. Oh wait. Oh, is wait.
No, that would be Jordan since Matt, you're helping.
Sorry. My
Okay.
bad.
Well, I did not roll as well. Now we're at a 12.
So as the next 10 minutes of laboriously repeated performance continues and continues and continues, you're very clearly losing the interest of the crowd, though it seems like the captain of the ship is now out, and she's like, what exactly is going on? As she's talking to one of her crewmen, she's like, what is it? Does he think he's just doing the same? They're just doing and he's like, yeah, they're doing the same stuff over and over again. It's so weird, man. Is this like what the big city is, man? And she's like, I don't know. I hardly ever come to the big city. This is so weird. Like, is this art? Is this what this is?
The serotonin rush in my new human endocrine system is flagging. And so I'm looking around, and my leap of probably the biggest intelligence I'll ever have, I go, well, if you won't buy these illegal guns, maybe one of these people will. And so this is crowd work. I don't know if you guys have heard of it.
At this point, one of the sailors, a younger man in kind of in these sort of calf length breeches, he actually like steps forward. And he's got his hand up, and he's like, oh, pick me, pick me.
We just met the one guy in the city stupider than Nimbus. I point to him. I say, you, sir, would you like to come forward and peruse my wares? And then, I point to the crate, and we get the sort of Borderlands style freeze frame on the crate, and it just says whiskers, like the fourth man. And the crate just goes.
All right, yeah. As
from the shadows, I'm going.
And you probably have been for a long time.
Yeah, move it along.
So this guy steps forward, and he's like super excited. And now that he's stepped forward and he's itching to participate, it seems like all of his crewmates are now kind of getting into it as well. Despite the fact that everything is a complete disaster, they're like, I want to see where this goes. So he steps forward and he's like, yes, sir. I would like to buy some of your illegal guns.
I say, well, then come forward. We can be best friends. I'd lose the act completely because I literally only have that one set of lines. And I say, when you open the crate, don't hurt the cat.
So he's like,
see me go like.
So he's like, yeah, oh, okay, yes, and I will not hurt the cat. I will buy your guns and cats.
Yes,
and he takes some big theatrical steps over, and he's like, I am going to buy your guns and cat now. And as he lifts it up, taking all of these weird steps and lifting it up in sort of a weird way, the lid starts to slide off, and from the inside you hear this.
And I just in slow-mo, I'm looking over towards where Anthony is, just deception.
I just sidle behind the crowd.
The lid is just.
I'm like, no.
All right, so as he lifts up the crate, the lid starts to slide off, and there's this sound from inside, and he drops the crate. And as he drops the crate, the cat actually just launches back up at him, and he. Let's see here. That's gonna be. The cat, so he rolled a 17 on his dexterity saving throw, which is pretty sweet. However, the cat got a 19 on his attack roll.
I'm telling you, this cat is actually on the A team. This cat is better than
So this cat actually leaps out and latches onto his face and starts scratching at him. And as this is happening, he's just screaming and swatting at this cat, but it's just like clawing at his face. Meanwhile, all the other sailors are laughing their asses off. What are you doing?
Are they throwing money? Most importantly.
Seems like we just pivot and become a theater troupe. Like maybe like this could be destiny.
Yeah, I could just come out of the shadows and be like, "Thank you. That was a cat in a hot tin box."
Do you actually want to do that?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
I don't want to be associated with any of this yet. I still feel like I have time to run away if I need to.
Okay.
Hey, Xavier.
Yes.
I'll take the advantage to start sidling through the crowd and just jostling people. It's 5 coppers for the show. Hold.
And yeah, as you walk through the crowd, you actually do manage to collect a few coins. And you. By the time you've worked your way through the crowd over a few minutes, while this cat is like clawing at this guy's face, and he's finally got it out on one hand, and he's like holding it by the scruff of the neck, and it's going at him. He's like, "Whoa!" But yes, you do manage to collect about 35 coppers as you're working your way through the crowd, and the captain actually stops you, and she's like, "I don't know what this is. It's really weird, but it's really good." And she actually slips you a gold piece. She's like, "That's
just tell your friends. Illegal weapons on the dock. That's us. We'll be here. Just tell your friends."
That's the name of our troop is illegal weapons on the dock.
She's like, "Wait, hang on. Come here for a second." And she like ushers you a little away from the crowd where there's still commotion and a cat howling at this guy. And she's like, "All right. Look, I know that you're like one of these weird performer types, but is that actually like a thing?"
I mean, we diversify a little bit.
So this is just like your, I guess, front. Is that what's going on?
Sure. It's a passion. But we may have some side business.
Sometimes people say one thing and do another.
Okay, so. Look, I don't want to get the rest of my crew involved in this, but I have been looking to pick up some side business. If you're interested, tell you and your friend that I'm actually meeting with a buyer later tonight, just 3 docks down. If you show up, I'll tell him that you're cool, but just don't tell anybody else, okay? Keep it on the down low. Can you do that?
We can do that.
All right.
We'll be there.
Well, cool. Well, this has been a great show. I hope that you guys stick around after midnight. I mean, I'm sure that there are more people who are going to want to see your show. It sounds great. But now that we have to get back to work, we're unloading, loading, you know how it is with the shipping business. And she actually just like walks off back to her ship. And you can see that most of the crowd, which was basically all of her shipmates, starts to follow her, kind of getting the impression, oh yeah, she wants us to get back to work now.
Nice lady. I'll go back to I forget the character's name, of course. Anthony. Not Anthony.
Gerald.
Sorry, Jordan. We're in, boys. We've got a gig.
Like we got a lead.
We do, in fact.
I'm standing over by the guy who got mauled by the cat, and I'm like, we're gonna need that back. So, and I'm holding out the box and like because as far as I know, what we were just hired to do is this act again for whoever her buyer is. Like I am, yeah. So I don't know if it works, but I am pestering him like at some remove from this.
All right. So Matt, you'd be able to relate what just happened to your friends. And it sounds like sometime after midnight, just a couple of docks down, there's going to be some sort of meeting where apparently the captain is selling some sort of items from her ship.
Guns.
Yeah. And with that, I think that's a good time to take a quick break, go get a drink of water, maybe go to the bathroom, and we'll be back here in just a minute. Sound good?
Sounds good.
Yes.
All right. And we're back. We've had our little break. We've gotten some refills on our water, gone to the bathroom. I went and kissed my wife because I haven't seen her all day because I've been playing D&D. And yeah, so let's bring things back in with a little more discussion. And this is, once again, a question I've asked before, but I always get some interesting and varied answers with it. So I'd like to ask you guys, if you have any recommendations for, say, I guess advice or resources for people who are looking to get into game development, looking to push into whatever job it is that you guys specifically do. Maybe you know, as a writer or an environment artist, you know, what are some either resources or advice that you would suggest to people who might just be going to school or might be doing that sort of thing on their own time? Jordan, would you like to start again? Do you have anything that you would recommend for people who want to do the same things that you do?
So yeah, it's kind of a weirdly backwards way to answer this, but also trying not to lean on what I've said before on previous episodes. If you want to get into game writing, I strongly suggest that you start with game design. That working on a level in your spare time with one of the many sort of free tools like Unity or Unreal Ed, basically building your own little mod that has a beginning, middle, and end and has some game mechanics associated with it. Ideal case, working in a job that requires some game design from you, because game writing serves such strange masters. It is unlike really any other type of writing. It is akin to engineering in a way, and it's going to test your endurance in strange kind of capacities, in the sense that, like, somebody might say, okay, I want you to write literally 100 ways to say grenade, get to cover. And that's just not a thing that your English professor is going to ask of you for the most part. And so also, frankly, writers and designers are often at each other's throats unless the writer has had some experience with the designer's world. So really, I think kind of backing your way into the writing job. You know, Matt Colville, who does all these D&D sort of Dungeon Master advice videos.
Yeah, I love those.
Says that he happened to be on the team when the team decided they needed a writer, and he was already there in a game design capacity and sort of knew what bizarre demands that God was going to ask for before he started doing any script. And I really truly believe that's going to be valuable to somebody who wants the job to not feel like a chore. Writers that I've hired from outside of games often seem to feel like it's a little bit demeaning, the types of engineering that is going to be required of you.
Now, piggybacking off that, Anthony, what about you? Since you also do some writing, what would you recommend to people who want to maybe get into writing and doing the same types of things that you do or have done?
I would probably say the same thing as Jordan, but just less articulately. Like I think understanding the place of writing in a video game and having no ego about that is important. Like, I like the fact that I'm basically just the fucking musical accompaniment to the movie, essentially. Like, it's not you do not become a video game writer if you want to be like capital I important or like capital F famous, because that's a easy way to waste a lot of your time. But I don't know anything about how to even begin to use Unreal and stuff like that. My head would just melt. I'm just not smart enough. So, I mean, I can only speak from my own personal experience, but making my own web series, which, even though it had nothing to do with like a lot of narrative stuff, it was just jokes and video game stuff. It showed off like, hey, this is my sense of humor. This is my. They were all really short, so it's like, hey, I like being brief. Video games love that. And showing that I cared a lot about video games helped. And also, just fucking around with twine is really, really useful. just for, especially if it's like I can tell a story and make it interactive and stuff, and that's simple. But what if I force myself to add in some mechanics? Even if I don't like video game mechanics, it'll be useful to do it just so you see the constraints you put on yourself when you're like, shit, now I have to track health and money or something as small as that. Can be kind of helpful.
Yeah, that's really cool and very, very good advice. I know that Jordan, you mentioned Matt Colville, and I've watched most of his videos. I actually only stopped watching his videos once he started getting into spoilers for Critical Role. But I'm gonna be back on it. I'm gonna be back on that train soon. But yeah, it seems like a lot of the writers that I've talked to and whose work I've listened to or whatever have very similar experiences in that there is that sort of aspect of come up with 100 ways to say, here's a grenade. Writers have an interesting sort of role in game design as well, right? Because games they're not just narratively driven, they're also driven by the way that players interact with them. So you need to account for that, right?
Yes, I mean it's to think of the player as the negative space is something that I've been kind of struggling with for years. And if a lot of writers, particularly game writers, for some reason love to over-explain the world and put motive behind every last little detail. And in the same way that can lead to bad writing outside of games, where there's nothing is left to the imagination, everything's overly literal and described. The same thing can go if you try to be or overly forceful about what the player should believe, think, or act like. The more that you can kind of embrace the idea that there will be this chaotic tornado at the center of whatever you're trying to say, I feel like it leads to a truth that leads to people buying into your game story, even if it would be thought of as shit outside of games. It's a sort of mutual respect thing, a contract, and I will always feel weird about it. Like every time I write a game, I kind of have to get over the fact that the player is going to fuck it all up. But then once I move through that, I'm off to the races. It's I don't know. It's like being raised religious and kind of drifting away from your faith and then back to it or something. Like I will always regard the player as a kind of angry deity.
It's funny that you mentioned that, especially in context of playing D&D, because I find that whenever I am DMing a game, and I'm not a writer by any means, my bag is purely 3D art and stuff. I don't touch writing, but as being a DM for D&D games, whether it's on the internet like this or, with like the guys from work who just come over to my house and play D&D for a few hours, I can always rely on everybody I play D&D with to completely fuck everything up in the most spectacular way possible. And there's this interesting sort of release.
You didn't expect us to put a cat in a box?
Well, I expected it to be that crazy, certainly, but I wasn't. I intentionally don't go into things with expectations. I only try to think up like a one-sentence description of what the entire thing is about. And it seems like that's one of those ways that, writing for video games has to kind of push into that area in some respects, because you never know exactly what's going to happen, right? Matt, what about you? What are some resources or tools or anything along those lines, some tips that you might give someone who's trying to get into making levels, whether it's level design or level art? Is there some sort of recommendation you might give to students or just people who are working on their own?
Well, I guess speaking as a visual artist, here's the thing about games writing. No, realistically, this is probably more general art in general for any form of creative work. But I think games focused people there's a particular trap they fall into where they only let themselves be influenced by the games that they have played or love truly. Yeah, I see the nodding heads. It's not a bad thing. I think it's fine, especially if that's what got me into games, is my love for that sort of medium. But it makes for a very shallow worldview when it comes to even its basic like design sensibilities. If you don't have a big library of other things, you will objectively be worse at creating things that are not things you know. It seems obvious, but if you don't really think about that, you may never understand. So if you've only ever played a Zelda game, you will only ever make things that are derivative in a strong way of a Zelda game. And that's not bad. It's just, if you want to be a good designer, especially visually, or any creative work, I think you need to get outside your skull, get outside your interests, look up things you don't like or you don't know anything about. Look up history. Doesn't have to be art history. Look up, things of art you don't like. You don't like postmodern art, and that's okay. But you can draw from that, even subconsciously. So I think you have to actively look out and search for things. Like, video games has a weird tendency for people who are getting into it, because there's a lot of production art in games in a lot of ways. Same with film, where you don't need to be specifically artistically inclined to produce the work. And that's fine. But if you want to advance as a creator in any significant sense, you need to do what other disciplines do. Photographers don't only look at photography, for example. So that's a big one. That's mostly for like someone who's just starting. Go to your museum. If you're a student, you can get probably free tickets. Go to whatever museum you find, whether it's a good one or a bad one. Look at everything. Go take photos. Learn photography. Learn from fine artists. Go see a movie you don't like. All of that stuff. So that's, maybe not a big thing, but it's not obvious to everybody. So.
Yeah, I've definitely run into a lot of students who only tend to look at, say, one type of movie or one type of game or something, and it seems like they're sort of unintentionally hobbling themselves, and then they look at me like I'm some sort of weird alien when I'm like, yeah, my favorite artists. I like people who died 500 years ago just as much as I like, this really cool comic book artist. And they're like, I didn't know that painter existed. Or I remember one time talking to a friend who was super into manga and anime. It really influenced her art in a positive way. But I mentioned a few American and European comic illustrators, and she was like, I don't know who any of these people are. And they would be people who, if you had even a cursory knowledge of, American comics or European comics, you'd probably know their names. And I think that's something that a lot of people definitely fall into. So getting that wider range of influence is absolutely something that's helped me. And I can only echo what you've said on that regard.
Yeah, I mean, sorry, one more comment on that. It's like, even one thing, don't just look at art that is you find interesting. Look at things you don't like and figure out why you don't like it. That's, like, there's a lot of hate for certain, fields of art, and various, postmodern gets a lot of shit for no real reason. Mm-hmm. But it's constructive to break down feelings about things like that and why it challenges your preconceptions and all that. And that makes you a better artist, which is the end goal for most artists,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I definitely agree. And I see a lot of people doing things like, shitting on modern or postmodern art, or like, say abstract expressionism or something. Right. Even if I don't particularly like abstract expressionism, like I don't give a shit about splatters of paint on a canvas, I have to appreciate, where it came from, what led to it, and, why it exists, even if it's not to my taste. And that actually will be able to inform me about other things that I can look up that I might like that were happening around the same time or in the same place, or, I'll see where they came from. Well, I think that was a pretty good sort of talk about, ways that people can sort of push their boundaries, I suppose, in general, right? But let's go back into some weird boundaries that we've set up for ourselves. Let's go back into D&D. Let's get back to this cat in a box, and let's get back to whatever you guys are going to be doing over the next couple hours, as apparently you've set up some sort of meeting or something with somebody who apparently wants to trade in illicit goods. So
yeah, they thought that our weird theatrical act named illicit arms on the dock, or illegal arms on the dock, was our super smart oblique way of asking for something.
We're either extremely clever or the dumbest people they've ever met.
Yes.
You don't know. So what would you guys like to do with this newfound knowledge?
Well, we have a gig.
Yeah.
Okay. So you just want to wait around for a bit, or do you want to occupy yourselves somehow, perhaps preparing for whatever might come to pass?
Well, the last time we prepared, an innocent person got his face hacked off. So
I have one. Do we need more cats? Because we want a bigger show.
That's our thing. You got them in the aisles, but they want something more.
Just a thought. Probably not necessary.
I think I'll probably cast mage armor.
Okay.
Because at this point, I get the feeling that either we're about to meet some criminals or we're about to meet a vigilante. And either way, I know that I don't necessarily have to look exactly like a bandit anymore. So I'm going to cast that at level 1.
Okay. Cool. So you take the time to cast mage armor on yourself. You now have a bit of just a hint of glittering armor about yourself, in addition to the bright lights that are shining out from your robes. Is there anything else that you guys want to do before, say, midnight, 1 a.m. comes and this meeting is scheduled to happen?
I think I'm good.
All right. So taking the next couple hours to just sort of set yourselves up, psych yourselves into a more criminal mindset, or just keep up with the same mindset, depending upon who you are. You do pass the next few hours, and you move over to the dock, which was just 3 docks down from the one where you did your little performance. From here, most of the torches and lamps are being put out across the large docks that extend across this bay. But the ones at the ship where you had done your performance are still lit. And you can see that even at this late hour, there is a bit of movement on the deck. After a few moments of waiting, you see a group of individuals approaching from that ship, and at the head you can see the captain, the woman with her hair pulled back in a tight knot, and getting a good look at her now, you can see that she has a long saber stuffed into her belt, not in a scabbard, just kind of stuffed in there. She's wearing a long coat which comes down almost to her ankles. Seems very well made. And she is sort of striding forward confidently. And as she approaches, she sees you and just nods in your direction, acknowledging that you are there. And as she approaches, she tells some of her shipmates to spread out a little bit. A couple of them farther up the docks and a little farther down. Looks like they're just going to keep watch. And then 4 of them sort of fan out behind her. It looks like most of them have some sort of clubs or something else, some other basic weapons on them. And they all sort of eye you a little amused, but at least one of them looking slightly nervous. And the captain, you notice, is actually looking farther down the dock. And looking in that direction, with the moon now out, you can see some shapes approaching. It looks like at least 3 individuals coming forward. The one at the lead, a very, very tall woman, it looks like, and then 2 smaller figures directly behind her. So what would you like to do? Anything before this meeting is about to take place?
I think it might be better to hang back a little bit and see what's happening, because I think we're pretty unfamiliar with this whole world.
All right.
Most of us.
Okay. Anthony, were you trying to say something? You were...
No, sorry, I was shaking my head saying
okay.
not really.
Oh, okay, cool. And Jordan, is there anything you'd like to do?
Yes. I stride boldly forward down the dock or whatever, and just start saying, like, here for the guns. Like I obviously don't even know specifically that the captain's going to be the one to make the deal with. Like, I'm just kind of like looking at any of them and obviously leaking light.
All right. So as you, so are you approaching the captain or the people who are walking towards you?
God, I don't know. The captain.
So as you're making this little performance, she's like, shh, hey, calm down. We're gonna get to that, okay? Just calm down.
I go. Deception.
Okay, yeah, sure. And as she's saying this, the figures come into view, now visible by torchlight. You can see at the head of this small group, it looks like only 3 figures, at least only 3 people that you can see. There might potentially be others hiding, you can't tell. But at the head of this small group, there is a very tall elven woman with a shock of white hair that comes down to her shoulders and sort of tumbles down. It's all loose. She has very dark gray skin, and her eyes have this sort of like reddish glint to them, almost like a cat's eyes at night, except instead of being a green or yellow, it's a bright red. And she looks at all of you in turn, just stopping and looking. She appears to be wearing leather armor head to toe, aside from, well, on her head, I suppose. And she has multiple knives on her person in view, at least 3 on her belt, and then 4 more on a bandolier across her chest. And each one is at different angles. It look like they're easy to pull out. She has a long gray cape, sort of blowing behind her in the gentle breeze. And the 2 shorter people behind her, one of them is a man very finely dressed with a completely shaved bald head. He's a fairly short, skinny human man. And the other is not as well dressed. He's a stocky man. Looks like he might be sort of half human, half dwarf. You can't really tell. He has a scraggly beard that's it looks thick but unkempt, so it's got kind of wisps everywhere. And the woman strides up and gives the captain a handshake and looks around at you as she's still holding her hand and sort of whispers something in her ear. And stepping back, the captain gestures to you and the rest of your party and says, "Oh, they're with us. We thought that they might be interested in our deal that we have going here. They have, well, they put on a little song and dance at first, but once you get to know them, turns out they deal in items that you might find interesting."
He's talking about cats.
Yeah, I sort of say out loud, like, there appears to be some kind of confusion. She's obviously a knife merchant. We're looking for the gun.
And this tall drow woman looks directly at you, and she's like, "I'm not sure exactly what you think is going on here, but these knives are not for sale. However, if you are looking to buy, well, I would think you'd be talking to the captain here, but if the captain doesn't have any guns, then I might be able to put you in contact with someone who does. Regardless, she reaches into a small pouch at her waist and pulls out a small vial, which you can see contains some sort of glittering powder. And she's like, "We have 750 more of these in exchange for what you're selling." And she kind of flips it to the captain. Captain catches it.
I have to turn around, huddle these 2 guys together and go like, "Guys, what is it we're actually buying? I'm in too deep now. I don't remember. Do we want the guns?" And I look at you clearly lost. Like all this deception is going to my head.
There's too many cross purposes. You can't keep track anymore.
Just sort of have to hang around long enough for the vigilante. I hope. If not, then we're just criminals, and I guess that should just be our new life.
Guys, I think this is a good deal. I think we should go for it. They don't know we have a cat.
I mean,
All right.
technically, nothing is untrue. We haven't lied that much yet. We are looking to buy guns, kind of, sort of. We're fine. Everything's fine. I'll leave if I have to. It's fine.
All right.
Sleep before the cops come.
Okay. I turn around and I just say, "We agree."
Everyone sort of like looks at you and they're like, And they go back to talking. Everybody do a perception check for me.
We're very good at this.
11.
Okay.
14.
14.
One moment. 11.
Okay. So the two 11s don't actually notice anything out of the ordinary. However, Mr. 14 over here, just out of the corner of your eye, you notice that one of the guys who, one of the two who spread out to, it looked like just kind of keep an eye on things. The one that's closer, or no, the one that's farther away from the ship, from where they originally came from. He was holding a torch before, so it was pretty obvious that he was there, where he was standing. But just, I don't know, something kind of strikes you as odd out of the corner of your eye. You notice that he's not standing there anymore. His torch is gone, and so is he.
Man, what is the least helpful way I can do this? I start counting people,
Mm-hmm.
and I get to the end and I go, there were more of us before. And I, like, as far as I know, like, everybody's friends, so it's all one party. And I just sort of smile confidently that I've helped everybody with that information.
The captain and the tall drow woman both turn to you, and then the small bald man, he says, wait, hang on. I'm sorry, what? There were more of whom?
I just point to where the guy that had the torch used to be. And I just say, he was there. And like, I'm pointing to an empty space.
And he kind of looks, and everybody turns to look now. And you can now hear the the four men who stayed with the captain sort of muttering to each other. You can't make it out; it's a little too low, but they all sound a little bit concerned. At that, the captain tells one of one of her four men to go ahead and take a look. Meanwhile, the small man, the small bald man. He's like looking around. He seems pretty nervous now, and he shouts and he's like, "Look there!" And as you look to wherever he's pointing back towards the ship where they came from, where the captain and her crew came from, and the other guy who was holding the other torch, looking out, is also now gone.
This happened to us before.
You think
Remember, people started to leave. I don't think we're being entertaining.
In the highwayman business, this is what we would call probably a trap.
As the word trap leaves your lips, the tall drow woman takes a step back and puts both hands on different daggers and starts to slowly draw them. She's like, "What's going on here? Who are you?"
A cat is going to appear at any moment.
Everybody do a perception check.
It's extremely helpful.
Ugh. 8.
7.
Oh, yeah. 8.
Okay. So as she's like sort of drawing back away from the group, kind of glancing around, the two men with her have now actually drawn swords and are looking around, not actually in a threatening way towards any of you, but they're now sort of back to back, looking up and down and around. And just for a second, you guys looking at this scene and looking at now the captain of the ship starting to draw her saber from her belt, one of the men who was with her, one of the four, who was standing almost directly behind her, just lifts up into the air. Quietly, no sound, but his legs are kicking, his arms are flailing, and he gets drawn up towards the roof of the building, which you are currently standing in front of, right by the docks.
Well, we found the vigilante is the good news.
And we know who the innocent one of all these guys was.
All right. What do you want to do? What are you doing?
I don't think we planned this far. Let the cat out.
Yeah.
All right, so
let the cat out.
you lift up the lid for the box, and the cat just shoots out and starts running around, and it sees that it's surrounded by people now, and they all just kind of like instinctively get back, and it's just like running in a circle all around the ground in front of all of you, not knowing what to do. Do another perception check.
I feel bad for subjecting the cat to this. Ooh, 23.
9.
9.
Yeah, 12.
So as most of you are distracted by what's going on with this cat, yowling and hissing at everything that it can see and just fucking angry at the world right now, Matt, you notice that the other two guards who were standing behind the captain have just disappeared. There's actually a puff of smoke left where they are, and it slowly dissipates. And then almost immediately, the shorter, scraggly bearded guy who was standing next to the drow woman, currently back to back with his two companions, lifts up into the air. His feet, he sort of like spins in the air and lifts up by his feet. And you can see him getting dragged up. And he lets out a yelp as he's getting dragged up there to the roof. And you can see this long, thin cable attaching to his feet. And he just gets dragged up onto the roof. And you hear a... And the shriek goes silent.
I just lean into the others. Guys, if I disappear, the vigilante got me. He's up there. I point at the roof.
So in my addled brain, the vigilante is the wanted poster that we saw back in the police station, basically the city watch. And so what I have is a phantom mustache that is floating out in front of me using minor illusion. I'm just sort of aiming it around the crosshair. And I do eventually like look at you when you say that. Do you look up to where the guy got sort of slurped to?
Yeah, I like look and gesture and point as I say it.
Then I'm just like, sorry, best friend, gotta go. And I cast a fly on myself and sort of follow the cable.
Okay. What are you other two doing?
Not doing that.
I'm gonna raise my hands and go, awesome! We lured them into your trap, vigilante. This is what we wanted from the get-go.
I follow his cue. I never liked illegal weapons.
Okay, well, then with that, everyone turns to face you, and as they do...
Oh, shit, I forgot they're still around.
As they do, the last of the guards who were the last guard who went to investigate, you hear a yelp and you see him getting dragged along the ground, and then he kind of hits a wall and starts getting dragged up to the roof of a nearby building. And with that, I need everybody to roll initiative.
Okay.
Oh, God.
My
third game, and this is the first time an actual initiative has been rolled.
My -1 is going to serve us well.
All right.
10.
Oh, there we go. There's the natural one. my initiative is a 3.
Very befitting.
Okay, so 25 to 20. Anybody? All right. 20 to 15.
I'm 18.
18. Okay, so that's going to put Anthony at the head, followed by, let's see, the tall drow woman and her companion. So let me just write this down so we don't forget. And then following that, let's see, 15 to 10. Oh, we got Matt.
10.
Okay. And then the captain and her her one remaining guard. No, all of the guards have actually now disappeared. That's brilliant. So it's going to be the captain and finally Jordan. So almost immediately, if they weren't drawn before, weapons are drawn now. And Anthony, you're first up. So you're sort of standing near the front of a building with the docks in front of you. There's sort of an avenue along the entire docks where you're currently standing, and there's kind of a drop off to the water. Off to your left is the captain. Off to your immediate right is the drow woman and her now just her bald companion, and then probably like right next to you, behind you, is Matt. What do you want to do?
It's a free action. I look at the people around me who just heard me say, haha, we lured him in a trap, and I go, just kidding.
Do a deception check.
Rolled in my crotch.
From high somewhere in the sky, you hear deception.
I got a gentleman's 2.
Oh, yes. So everyone looking at you, they hear this thing that you said, and then they immediately hear the just kidding sort of stuff, and they're like, oh no, you don't get out of it that easy. Okay, what else do you want to do on your turn?
Okay, so I will, if I'm reading this correctly, Hail of Thorns means, do I do damage to everyone? Oh, wait, no. There's more descriptions. You know what? I'm just going to do a regular ass attack while I read that on my next turn.
Actually, with Hail of Thorns, I have it right here, actually. The next time you hit a creature with a ranged weapon attack before the spell ends, it creates a rain of thorns that sprouts from your ranged weapon or ammunition. In addition to the normal effect of the attack, the target of the attack and each creature within 5 feet of it must make a dexterity saving throw. A creature takes 1d10 piercing damage on a failed save, or half as much on a successful one. If you cast it at a 2nd level or higher, the damage increases by 1d10 for each level.
Okay, I will cast that using a 2nd level spell slot.
Okay,
and
so that's going to be
one time
2d10.
means 1 bonus action, right?
So, yeah, casting time is 1 bonus action, so that would be your bonus action for this turn, so you would still have an action left after that.
Cool. I will shoot at the drow with my longbow.
Okay.
What am I going to add? A d20.
Oh, so yeah, roll a d20, and then I believe your bonus should be a +5. That's going to be your dexterity plus your proficiency.
Natural 20.
All right.
Nice.
So then with that natural 20, you're going to be doubling all the results of the dice for the damage. So roll the damage for the normal attack, and then and double that, and then do the damage for the Hail of Thorns and double that as well.
Okay, so I did already with the doubling. I do 4 for the normal longbow attack. And the Hail of Thorns is a deep, I believe. So that's 10 damage.
All right, so 10 damage total, or 10 damage...
That's 4 from this, and then I rolled a d10 for the Hail of Thorns.
Oh, so you wanted to cast... you said you wanted to cast Hail of Thorns at 2nd level, so that's actually going to be 2d10, and then you will double the result of whatever that is.
And that's 20.
All right, so 20 total?
It was 24 total.
24 total. Okay, cool. So as you release the arrow from your bow, it sort of like splits in the air, growing thorns and vines that sprout out from it and explode outward towards this drow. She has to do a dexterity saving throw, which she rolls a natural 20 on.
Wait.
However, her bald companion only rolls a 5, so I don't think he's going to save. So you hear the arrow impact into her leather armor, and then almost immediately there's this sort of hail sound, just like a as their bodies are just peppered by all of these thorns, and almost immediately her bald companion sort of gets knocked backwards by these thorns and stumbles and falls, and he is essentially knocked prone, and you can see that he's just covered in cuts and scars from these thorns that flew at him. The drow is still on her feet, but most of her leather armor has just been torn up in multiple places, and you can see that her face face is just covered in small slashes, and additionally the arrow is sticking from her midsection, and she looks like she is already in terrible shape. Her as she breathes, the arrow sort of shudders whenever she takes a breath, and you can hear a sucking sound.
Oh God.
All right.
I'm a bad person.
13.
And that's actually going to bring it to her turn. She is going to run up to you, just coming over the 10 or 15 feet between you, and take a slash at you with her sword. That's only going to be a 10 to hit.
I ain't gonna do it.
Yeah, and then she's going to use her second attack, which is going to be even less. So she just kind of whiffs at you, but it looks like whenever she takes a swing, this arrow is just causing her immense pain. Meanwhile, the guy on the ground is going to try to save. He fails, and you hear this shuddering gasp from the bald guy on the ground as he sort of goes and lays still. That's going to bring it.
Like, oh no! I killed somebody. I've never killed anybody before. Oh no!
Oh, then that's going to bring it
up
to.
About it.
That's going to bring it to Matt's turn.
How many bad dudes are there currently besides the drow weapon?
There is actually just the captain left. You can see that there's a little bit of motion on the deck of the ship in the distance, but it doesn't seem that they're getting involved with any of this stuff.
Okay, well, I'm still going to do the thing I want to do because it seems funny.
I agree.
Use
Do
another minor illusion cantrip. Hopefully I'm not in range of the drow woman, to produce my image of the vigilante, whatever that may be.
Okay.
And just point and shout, he's over there.
Okay.
So some shadowy, I don't know what he looks like actually. So.
Okay. So you just want to make this like kind of shadowy form off in the distance?
Yeah.
It's wrong. He has a mustache.
Yeah. He should have a mustache, possibly wearing this something like Anthony's wearing, because that's what criminals wear.
Okay. All right, cool. So do a deception check. And I'm going to say do it with disadvantage.
Yeah, this is a bad deception. But let's see. Oh, I have a +1 for that. Fancy. That would be a 6.
So not exactly sure what the hell you're gesturing at. She looks over there and she's like, no. And that's going to bring it to the captain's turn. She's actually just going to turn tail and book it back to her ship. And as she is running back towards her ship, you see that it looks like she trips and falls, but then she gets dragged along the ground, hits the wall of a building, and starts getting dragged up the building. You can hear this like scream and like you can hear like her head bonking against a couple of boxes and crates and such, and then she just disappears onto the roof. That's going to bring it to Jordan. What are you doing?
Well, so when I see the drow woman throw knives at the ranger, I shout down from the sky, I told you before, we don't want to buy any knives. And but my main purpose up here was to look for the vigilante. So I'm in midair. I'm sort of trying to follow the origin point now of the new cable, probably.
Okay. Do a perception check.
Okay, I am. Oh, okay. I may use a luck point from my feat called luck, but only if this die result sucks.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel like this is probably important. So just in case, I'll burn 1 and see if I can get a better result. No. Okay. So the best I can get is 15.
So you can't actually you actually can't see the cable just because of how dark it is. It seems like the cable is probably like painted black or something. But it just even in the moonlight, it doesn't like there's no glint or anything like that. However, you do hear the sort of as it's being pulled over the edge of the roof, and you can see where this captain is being pulled up onto the roof. You can't. You're having a hard time actually seeing where the captain went, though. It's a little bit odd. It's like she went up onto the roof, and you were looking at the roof, and then she got up there, and she's just gone. There's moonlight. You can see the tiles of the roof. There's no person there.
I will go to that spot and inspect it, I guess.
Okay, cool. So that's going to be basically your entire... what's your movement speed as you're flying?
Oh, sorry, it's in the fly spell, I think.
What is it?
Stand by. 60 feet.
Okay. So you would probably be able to get most of the way over there, but you by the end of your turn, you'd probably still be about 10 feet away from that rooftop. Do another perception check for me.
Sure. Okay, I'm burning another luck. Huh. Yeah. We're at 13.
Okay. 1 second. Let me just check on something really quick. Okay. So it was 13, you said?
Yep.
Yeah. So initially, it seems like there's just roof there. However, as you pause and you take a look at this rooftop, you notice that there is a very slight shimmer in the same area where the captain got pulled. You do hear, as the captain gets pulled up, there's like a sort of meaty thud sound, and any noise that she's making stops. And it seems like the origin of the sound is right there on the roof.
Did I have to dash just to get to here, or do I still have my action?
Well, that would be your entire movement. You would still have an action left. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Then I'll use the dash action to get more movement so that I can head right in there. Because if I see the shimmer, I'm like, yay, magic! Dun, 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 you know.
So as you fly towards this roof, you find yourself just passing through almost like a wall. There's a slight tingle, and looking around, you can actually see the body of the captain laying there directly ahead of you. And it just appears out of nowhere. And then standing over the body, you can see the shape of a very well-muscled man, hooded in all black, standing there with a coil of rope in one hand that he is undoing from the captain's feet. It looks like it has a small sort of grappling hook on the end, and he sort of grabs something from his belt and tries to throw it at you. Do a Constitution saving throw.
Okay, rut-row. So I'm in the middle of trying to say, I hear that you beat up bad guys and don't get paid. I'm here to apply to...
Maybe to help you with that.
All right, here goes my last luck. Oh, even worse. So Constitution saving throw is a 7.
All right. So as he just throws something at your face, there's this sort of popping sound, like multiple firecrackers going off directly in your face, and you're considered blinded until the start of your next turn. Your entire vision just goes white, and you feel you don't feel like a physical impact, but it almost feels like there were small explosions that went off right in your face.
Y'all know what'd be good right now? Lesser restoration.
I can't fly.
All right. That's going to bring it back to the top of the round, and the vigilante. That's going to be actually the vigilante's turn, and the illusion that was cast has now faded. And
I just imagine it's like a scribbled version of what I imagine a dark figure was, just like a kid's drawing.
Yeah. So the illusion is now faded, and you guys would actually be able to see where Jordan is currently hovering, sort of freaked out in the air. And you see a dark shape moving along the rooftop, dragging something behind it in the moonlight. And he's just going to keep running along the rooftop. What do you guys want to do?
Are we still in combat rounds?
You are still in combat rounds, but is there anything you want to do like outside of combat, just like as a reaction to what you've just seen, anything like that? It is technically Anthony's turn, but this vigilante is just going to use his entire turn to just start booking it down these rooftops.
I was going to say
the vigilante still.
I'm sorry?
Can I still see the vigilante?
He is quickly disappearing behind the crest of a rooftop.
Well, I'm wondering if I could use my hunter's mark on him because I see him.
What's the range on Hunter's Mark?
90?
90 feet. Yeah, you'd be able to get to him. Yeah.
Rangers, y'all.
Oh, yeah.
Right. I do that then.
Okay,
Ranger.
cool. Yeah, he has Hunter's Mark applied on him, and you'll be able to get a sense for where he is heading. Is there anything else you want to do on your turn?
No, I feel like that's
I'll say there's still a pissed off drow woman with knives in front of us.
Yeah, there is. She's
an
Oh yeah, it is a
thing.
bonus action, isn't it? I'll just shoot her again.
okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
she's right there.
That is going to be with disadvantage because you're in melee range. Just FYI.
Oh, in that case, I'll stab her.
Okay.
With my short sword.
Gotcha.
That is 23 to hit.
Oh, 23 will hit. Roll damage.
Okay. That is 6.
Okay. As you just stab at her with your short sword, it actually kind of like catches through the arrow and embeds, like kind of catching on one of her ribs, and she lets out this groan and she topples forward. It looks like she is just like passing out from blood loss now, and she's just like she falls like a sack of just rocks at your feet. Okay, so I guess technically you guys would be out of combat now, but what do you want to do? There is still that vigilante moving across the rooftops.
Well, I guess I'm not a good runner. I don't know if you've noticed that. So I'm going to make sure she doesn't die because we're technically good guys first, and we want to bring the bad guys home, not just kill them. Mm-hmm. Anthony should probably maybe go a running.
Yeah, I'll run after him.
All right,
Yeah.
Cool. So you're running
And
after
I am
him, and
flying
I will follow
blind,
immediately when I'm done.
literally flying blind after the vigilante.
do another Constitution saving throw. This time with advantage. It will be starting to wear off very quickly.
Xavier, I'm gonna when they're done, I'm just gonna do a quick
Natural
medical
20.
check
Okay.
on her.
Sure. Sorry.
Yeah.
Natural 20.
Yeah, you almost immediately after there's this blinding flash in your eyes, you're able to kind of like recenter yourself and like look, and through the sort of wavering colors, the after image, you do see that this vigilante is running along the rooftop, dragging at least 2 bodies behind him, and it looks like he is moving at a really fast pace, given how heavy these at least 2 bodies must be. Meanwhile, Matt, you wanted to do a medicine check?
Basically stabilize, tie her up, and then run. Just
Okay, yeah,
get moving.
that'd just take a couple of seconds. You're able to sort of apply pressure and just stuff some rags in there and do some loose knots and just like leave her there.
Put her in the crate or something. I don't know.
Yeah, sure. You're able to do that fairly quickly, and you'd probably be able to catch up with Anthony as he is running along. Let's just go. We're going to go from left to right on my screen because that'll just make it easier for me to keep track of. Anthony, what do you want to be doing right now?
I just want to keep chasing after him and see if I can keep him in visual range, essentially.
Okay. Why don't you do? We'll call it 3 perception checks. Over the next few minutes, you'll just be like trying to keep track of him.
Okay. First one's 8.
Okay.
7. Third one's 20.
Okay.
Unnatural.
For the first couple of minutes, you do hear some like sounds coming from up above, but it's really tough to figure out exactly where they're coming from. Running in from the docks into the city, there's this, it's almost like a rat's nest of buildings that are all at weird angles to each other. But then just as you think you're starting to lose him, you hear this rustling and a snapping of like some sort of slate roof tile from up above, and you look up and you can see his silhouette as he jumps across a street, making a 15-foot leap. And then just yanks this bundle of ropes that he has in his hand, and 4 bodies actually just float through the air, dragged by the ropes. And he just kind of like yanks them towards him, and then he keeps on running. And you're able to sort of follow him along now that he's on one of the main roads. Okay, Matt, what are you doing right now?
Am I right there with Anthony? So I saw the same.
You would be able to see
behind.
the direction that Jordan is about to start flying off in. So you'd be able to be like, oh, I need to go in that direction. So you're a bit behind, but over the next few minutes, you do manage to catch up to Anthony, and you guys would eventually be heading along the same main road. That sound good?
I guess, yeah. Huffing and puffing as I speak. It's like, hey, we need to talk to you. You can get paid for this.
Okay, and Jordan, what are you doing as this is all occurring down below?
I'm going to streak directly at him while babbling like, wait, I just want to talk to you. You're better than the city watch is at their jobs, but I think I can be better than you are at your job, which is to be nice and not get paid. And I'm like, I'm
so cool.
When I get into range, I'm going to activate the robe of scintillating colors.
Okay.
Which makes him make a saving throw.
Okay, cool. So, he is running unnaturally fast across these rooftops. It seems like at some points he's almost not even touching the roof as he's running along with it. And you can see that those bodies that he was dragging behind him are actually floating behind him. It seems he's done something to make them weightless, if not massless, and he is dragging them as he is running. And over the next, say, minute or two, it's actually pretty tough for you to get within range because he's just he's like just barely slower than you are, even pulling these things along. It's actually incredible how fast he is running. You're actually able to hear some of your friends running down the alleyways and streets below you, and you even occasionally catch glimpses of them as they're looking up and trying to figure out exactly where to go. So yes, activate, as you get in range, you activate the robe. And from down below, you guys see this multicolored blast of colors. So tell us exactly what's going to happen here.
Okay, so it sheds bright, scintillating light in a 30-foot radius and dim for additional 30 feet. So it's like watching a comet go in terms of being able. So as long as I can keep him in visual, like you can keep me in visual. In addition, any creature in the bright light must succeed on a DC 15 Wisdom saving throw or become stunned.
Okay, so let me see here. 1 second. I'm looking at the wrong book. Let me just make sure I know exactly what he's doing. And the DC was,
15.
15. Okay. Let me see here. Alrighty. He rolled a natural 17 on
that'll do it.
that check. So as you activate the robe, it looks like he notices out of the corner of his eyes and pulls his hood down, and then the sort of cape that's flowing behind him attached to his hood, he actually pulls it up even farther, almost like Dracula would, sort of doing that type of thing. And as he does this, you see that his other hand releases from the grip of the ropes that he's pulling with the bodies on the end, and he does something and then throws something again at you. I need you to do another Constitution saving throw.
Man alive. This guy's like, he's reading like the how-to vigilante chat book, like point by point.
Got a lot of tricks in that belt.
Here we go. A natural 1. However, I am definitely burning my last luck.
All right, go for it.
Roll high.
And I rolled a fucking 5.
Oh yeah, so as you activate your robe, almost
which
instantly,
is a total of 10, by the way.
Okay, yeah, almost instantly and yeah, that is unfortunately not enough to save.
I'm not shocked.
Yeah, almost instantly, there is another flash, and it's the same sort of flash that you had from before, where your eyes are just, everything is just white out now. and it takes a couple of seconds for your vision to come back. But when your vision does come back, do you still want to be moving and traveling in the same direction?
I mean, honestly, like for the sake of the comedy of it, what I want is to just like oh no, crash into something, and like it's that same poor cat that you hear go.
Yeah, so something very similar to that does happen. Yeah, and you guys down below do hear there is this after the initial flash, there is this multiple popping sound like firecrackers going off up above, and from up above you see not just the bright multicolored scintillating lights, you also see an additional barrage of bright white lights flashes almost like camera flashes from directly up above you, and then you see just a comet of multiple colors just careen across the sky and slam into the rooftop up above. You hear some cat in the distance go, wow! And it's probably safe to assume that your friend is up there laying on the roof doing something, lights just blasting out from him. Anthony, what do you want to do?
Yes, I can. Because he is marked, I have advantage on survival checks to follow him.
Okay.
So what would that mean? Like looking for like
that would be essentially tracking him. You just innately have this sense of where he is in relation to you, more or less. And you would be able to track him based on, things that you can hear, or, if some dust falls from the edge of a rooftop that he's running across, you'd be able to be like, oh, that must be him. Okay,
I will do that then. I'll see if I can use the howl of the cat and the weird explosion of Jordan hitting the roof to see if I can triangulate the echo noise, the sound waves.
All right, so you do get a very strong impression that he's heading in more or less the same direction he was, though his general vector is shifted slightly, and he's running along some different rooftops now, going ahead of you parallel to this main road. Matt, what are you doing?
I don't know if this is something I could do, but Can I see far enough ahead of his route to possibly use an illusion against? Like, I'd like to maybe say create a part of the building that's not quite there on the roof, so he does the step on it. Maybe a little, because I'm at a lower angle. I don't think that will be a very realistic thing.
Yeah, do a perception check.
Yes. All right. Let's see. My perception is not great. Roll 20 is so slow. I'm sorry. I need to just get somewhere real dice. That's a 14.
Okay, so initially it seems like with the pace that this guy's moving, it's going to be difficult for you to do something like that. However, with Anthony's sort of guiding hand, you're able to find a bit of rooftop that it looks like he would probably be jumping over in his path. It's pretty far up ahead, and you'll have to sprint to get there before he does, but you could probably get there. It's sort of up and off to the left. It looks like there's two buildings that are probably only about 5 feet apart. You could probably make it so that it looks like that part of the roof maybe touches. So you could try something like that.
I will give it a shot. I'll sprint in that direction with my amazing double move of 50 feet.
All right. So
stubby legs, a blur.
Yeah, it does take you a few seconds to get up there, but you think you just have enough time to get this illusion in place before he's going to get there. What is the DC for that?
It is my spell level, so I think 5th level caster.
So that should be at the top of your spell sheet, I believe.
Yeah. Let's see. I am not familiar with this sheet, so I'm looking for it.
Yeah. Just scroll down to wherever your spells are, and then take a look at.
Oh, it's on the top. Yeah. Okay. Top. Spell save is 14.
All right, 14.
Not super hot.
Let's see here. Let me just make sure.
Roll, Xavier.
All right.
I believe in you.
And that was a wisdom save, you said?
That'll be yes.
All right. He rolled a 13.
Hey.
So as he is running forwards, dragging these bodies through the air, just sprinting along rooftops, his cape trailing behind him, you hear the very rapid footsteps coming across the slate roof, and then through essentially like the back face of the illusion, you see him just trying to continue to run across this section of roof. and then he just starts to fall. However, as he is falling, you see that from his belt he pulls a length of rope with a small grappling hook on the end, throws it upwards, rolling a natural 20 on his acrobatics check. And
he's better than us.
He kind of grinds to a halt, and you can see that he has these thick gauntlets on and big old boots, and he just slams against the wall and starts hand over hand going back up. It seems like he wasn't expecting this, and he's gotten almost down to street level, and how he's going hand over hand. What are you gonna do?
Do I still have an action, or is it all of us?
Yeah, I would say that by this point you'd have an action. Yeah.
Okay. How far am I from him? How far are all of us?
Well, you guys are right at the entrance to an alley that's maybe 5 feet across, and he is maybe 10 feet ahead of you and going upwards.
Oh, perfect. Okay. I use my all of my amazing movement. I dive and I grab onto his legs and just hold on.
Okay.
Just add weight.
Yeah. So that's going to be a.
It was supposed to be a tackle.
Yeah.
But, you know.
Yeah. So be a grapple check. So just add your. This is essentially going to be the same as like an athletics check. So yeah, like a strength check or athletics. You know.
Okay. Yeah, I mean acrobatics would be.
Yeah, I mean, you could do acrobatics or athletics at this point. It's going to be whatever you would really want to do. I'm probably breaking some rule there, but I don't really give a shit.
All right. Okay, I'll roll a strength, I guess, if you're giving me that leeway, because it's not going to work if I don't.
Yeah, you just want to latch onto him. Okay.
Oh, well, that's a 19.
All right, and he rolls a 10.
I'm pulling out for dear life. I'm just adding a fat dwarf to his weight.
So as you go and latch onto his waist, he kind of like he slides about 3 feet back down the rope. Anthony, what are you doing?
I'll just grab the other leg. I guess that's what we're doing now. Fuck yeah.
All right.
Just keeping my little legs as you hold on.
So I want you to do an athletics check as well.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh God, no! Oh God, went onto the bed.
All right.
Oh dear.
While he's getting his die, Jordan, what do you want to be doing? The effects of those explosions have now worn off.
Oh, there. Okay, I can see again.
Yeah, and you would get an impression of the direction that he is running.
Okay, well, I'm like, rub my eyes, and I look over at that same cat that's now like hissing at me or something, probably just like just the absolute platonic form of hatred looking at me, and I'm like, it was a good plan though, wasn't it? Like as if the cat was in on it all along, and I fly towards the guy, and I say. Well, I guess how close can I get to him? I'm not really sure how far I am from him.
Over the next few seconds, you could probably get right up to where he is now fallen down. Yeah.
Okay. I say as a free action to my friends, is it possible that he's not one of our best friends? I'm going out on a limb here. Do we need to fight him?
Okay, and with that, Anthony, what was the result of that athletics check?
14.
14. What is my computer doing? No, don't you restart now. No, you don't. No.
This guy can smoke off your computer. That's
Ooh, no, Windows. So 14. So as you're going to grab onto him, he with his one free leg, he kind of like just like wiggles and moves and tries to get you out of his grasp. He rolled a 17 on his strength check. So you're kind of like kicked off and you fall just a couple of feet to the ground. But he's now hanging, trying to get your other friend off as he's doing like this type of thing, trying to hand over hand his way up, but he's just like not having any luck with it.
Well, so like I'm still like flying kind of over you guys like this. You can see me looking down. Lightning's crackling all over. You know, I'm still waiting on an answer. I'm holding an action. Like I will attack him if you guys tell me
he's not
our best friend.
I want you to just fly up and unhook the grappling hook, just delicately. Just
is that what you say out loud?
Well, that's not what how I would have said it, but that would have been a good idea. I guess I'd shout, unhook the grappling hook.
I just cancel the idea to cast, and I'll go up and try to pull the grappling hook loose.
Okay, do a strength check.
Mostly because I think that would be pretty funny if he just falls on us.
Yes, especially if you can see my strength score. It's hilarious. Here we go. That would be a 9.
So as you go and you grab onto this small grappling hook, it's really solidly in there. It's got at least 300 pounds of weight hanging from it.
A little more.
I said at least. It's got at least 300 pounds of weight hanging from it, and it's just like lodged into the stone of this slate roof. You can't budge it at all.
What's the cable made out of?
Do an investigation check.
All right.
Just studying the wire.
It definitely looks like it's a black color, though you can't really tell immediately.
I don't think I have this skill. Yeah, that's a 7.
I mean,
investigation is intelligence based.
Yeah, it's kind of tough to tell what it's made of, but it looks like it's maybe coated in tar or something like that. So it's dark black, and just touching it, it just feels like, well, kind of like touching the street or something. That type of idea. It's flexible and supple, but you can't tell the exact material.
Yeah, I pull on it, and I'm pretty sure this is his best friend.
Okay, Anthony, what are you doing? You're currently prone on the ground and having to get back up.
All right, I'm sick of this shit. I'm gonna try to get back up and see if I can just hit him with my longbow.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah. So do an attack roll and do it with advantage, since your friend is currently just affixed around his waist, not letting him move.
I was gonna say, I just like rotate around so he's in front.
17.
Okay, yeah, a 17 will hit. Roll damage.
Ooh, that's 10 damage. Oh, and because I have it marked, that's another D6, I think.
That is true.
That will be 11 damage.
All right, so he's going to get resistance to that, so he's only going to take 5 damage from that, because he has some thick armor on that is going to give him advantage against piercing damage. But as you hit him, he just instinctively lets go of the rope, falling on top of you, Matt. It's only a couple of feet since you kind of pulled him back down, but it's still kind of smarts as this huge chunky guy falls on top of you. And you hear him like grunt and groan as he tries to like roll over. You can see that there's an arrow sticking out of his armor that looks like it's just pierced through. And he's just like, "Oh, get off me!" Oh! Okay, Jordan, what are you doing?
So the ranger just actually attacked him, right?
Yes. And he's currently like sitting on top of Matt. So Matt's not really able to do too much right now since this guy is so much bigger than he is.
My form begins to blur as I use a sorcery point to quicken a spell.
Okay.
To cast a cantrip first called True Strike.
Okay.
And that gives me advantage on the following, which is Witch Bolt. And you guys just see this bolt of lightning crackle straight down at him. Whether I can hit him depends on the rolls, which tonight have not gone super well for me. Okay, here we go. Ooh, natural 20. Okay, all right. So Witch Bolt attaches a 2d12 of initial damage because I cast it at second level using my last second level spell slot.
All right.
And then I can maintain it on him every round until he goes down.
Okay.
So here's the initial 2d12 lightning. 5, 3. So he only takes 8 from that initial hit.
Okay, so this crackling energy just like shoots through his form, Matt, you can actually feel this like static electricity sort of feeling as your beard and the rest of your hair just kind of stand on end, and there's this crackling electricity that goes over the entire body of this person who's currently sitting like on your chest, and he just is racked with pain and shouts for a minute, and then just slumps over onto the ground next to you.
Can I stop holding him now? Just like latch tuck me.
All right, what do you guys want to do? He seems to be. There are still those bodies floating in the air just above the roof.
You just hear him like up there. Like I let the lightning bolt, the witch bolt, stop crackling, and I sort of authoritatively shout down, "Get the curse word off my best friend."
All right, so I have some rope. Could I try to tie this dude up?
Sure, yeah.
We should tie him up very well.
Yeah.
What now?
We should tie him up very well, I said.
Yes.
All right. And Matt, is there anything you want to do now that this guy's finally rolled off you and you can actually like stand up and do stuff?
Breathe for one.
Okay. So you take a moment to breathe.
Yeah, nothing too specific. I think I'm okay.
Okay. Yeah.
I can't quite. I could just like I could jump up and get the guys in the air, and it's like it's not gonna happen.
Okay. So over the next few minutes, you do manage to sort of hog-tie this guy, his arms and legs behind his back. It appears that he's wearing a bandana across his face, which obscures most of it. All of his clothing is dark leathers, either black or gray, and he has a belt with multiple pouches on it, some of which contain small explosive, they look like firecrackers or something along those lines that it looks like, through some mechanism that you're not sure of, he can throw them and they explode in the air. There are multiple types of grappling hooks, and there's at least one thing that looks like some kind of gun, though it actually has like a harpoon in the end. It looks like it's probably some sort of like harpoon type gun that he shoots to launch a grappling hook up. Aside from those things, he doesn't really seem to have any sort of weapons, though he does have a small club attached to his belt, just almost like the thing that you have in the Thief, a blackjack. There we go. Thank you. A cudgel or a blackjack. But aside from that, he seems unarmed. It seems like he gets most of his fighting ability or whatever just from his huge size. So what do you want to do?
Back him back to the City Watch?
I guess we have to carry him.
Okay. So taking him back to the City Watch, over the next few minutes, you realize that...
I stop them and I say, but he's better at their job. Shouldn't we talk to him? I want to do what he does. I don't want to do what they do.
He won't pay them.
I don't get paid anyway.
Imagine if you did, though. All the things you could buy for yourself. You could buy friends.
Probably talk to someone about that.
You can buy friends? Like I stare into the middle distance for a little while you guys start dragging him away. Like that actually, you can tell that Nimbus is bothered, but that worked. I have things to think about.
As you guys are getting up to the roof to get those floating bodies down, you manage to bring them down. They seem just kind of neutrally buoyant in the air. All these knocked out people. You see that the captain is there, along with the small bald guy and one of the captain's shipmates. They're all knocked unconscious, still alive, but they're all bound and gagged. Seems like this guy's very efficient at what he does. And over the next few minutes, as you bring them down, you realize, I can just pile this guy on top, and they'll just float along. So it's actually a little easier getting him back to wherever you want to get him to. So what do you guys want to do now that you guys have him in your possession, more or less?
Well, I mean, one thing they can't stop me from doing, probably because they don't know that I can do it, is that he's bound, but I wake him up with 1 hit point.
Okay.
Because I don't like the idea that I might have hurt him in a permanent way. Mm-hmm. So I at least pump 5 hit points into him, since I might as well use. I can't divvy it out like lay on hands. It's a one-time thing.
Okay. Cool.
And so like he's bound and lying on those other dudes, but he would probably regain consciousness.
Yeah.
Ooh, I like that. I like this.
Yeah, and you do notice that he does regain consciousness. It looks like he's aware of his situation, and he's sort of resigned to it at this point. He still has the bandana across his face. All you can see are his eyes, but you see that there's that kind of dawning realization in there.
Can I pull off his bandana?
Sure. You
do that.
Yeah, you
There's
pull
old
off,
man Jefferson.
you pull off the bandana, and the face revealed to you is it appears to be that of the head of the city watch, the guy who was in the office earlier, looming over you.
Well. Who are you?
He just sort of like grunts at you and turns away, looking almost a bit ashamed. He doesn't say anything.
I say, sir, I'm pleased to report that we've got the person who is better than you at your job. Ah!
A little bit of blood trickles out your nose.
So do we still get paid?
Well, we got him. We were supposed to get him because you were bad at the job, but you're very good at the job, and you're you. Why don't you just make your people good at the job like you were good at the job?
Do a persuasion check.
Ooh. Can I assist
20.
with this? Yeah. Oh, never mind.
Yeah. So as you're saying this, he like looks back to you and he's like, "Do you think I actually have control of the bureaucracy here? I'm just the biggest puppet. All right. I'm doing what I can."
Who's got the string?
The fucking nobles have the string. The nobles don't want their businesses to stop. They just want me to stop.
But you have such awesome strings. I'm so confused.
He couldn't even dislodge the string he was trying to with his hand.
Okay. Just take me in. I give up.
Are you going to put you under arrest? How does this work?
Oh my god.
It's going to be a lot of paperwork.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of paperwork, but luckily I won't have to fill out most of it anymore. So at least, small blessings, right?
Guys, why do we care if he goes to jail again? Like, what about this? We sell my cool robe, you guys get the gold, and we let him go.
What if you let him go, but we keep his cool clothes, we put them on one of the people we beat up, and we say, "This is them. This is the vigilante. Here you go." And now we're friends with the vigilante.
I hold you by the head and tears are in my eyes and I go, "Deception."
Oh boy. Even better playing D&D than you are GMing it. Holy moly. You did that. That is the coolest thing I've ever heard in my life, and I'm just dumbfounded from this point.
All right. So as this exchange takes place, the captain of the guard looks at both of you. He looks at Jordan and he's like, "This is crazy, but okay." And he looks back at you and he's like, "You look pretty familiar. What say when I get back to work?" Sorry?
I want to go sleep and try to hit him with his own blackjack.
He kind of dodges out of the way. It's pretty surprising how quick he is, given that he's hogtied. But seems that as he rolls away, you see that his hands are now untied, and he's like, I'll take down those wanted posters in exchange for good behavior. Sound good?
You got yourself a deal, my friend.
All right. So let's do this. And he, you now see that he's completely undone all of the knots that were holding him together, with his hands behind his back, completely hogtied. Yet he still managed to do it somehow without you guys even noticing. He stands up, sort of leveraging himself off the people he just, well, you all caught, and starts disrobing in front of you, taking off all his clothes. He's now just down to essentially his underwear. And over the next few minutes, as you kind of like drag your way into an alley, you dress one of the currently unconscious sailors in his leather armor.
Can it be the bald fat guy, the short one?
Well, that guy was actually he was short, but he was kind of wiry.
Okay.
And over the next hour or so, you managed to work your way back to the the main building for the City Watch, and turn in these horrible criminals which you've caught. Meanwhile, the captain of the watch goes by another route. He sort of just disappears into the dark, very effectively, especially surprising given that he's almost essentially naked, but he just disappears. And as you come back to the City Watch building, you're welcomed by several of the guards there. They lead you inside, and they're standing at the front desk, that large semicircle, talking to the secretary. Is the head of the City Watch, who gives you a knowing nod, and assists you personally in booking these horrible criminals, the ones who have been plaguing his city and doing the dirty work demanded by whoever demanded it. But it seems that now, with these criminals behind bars, especially this horrible vigilante, the city is safe for another day. The New Year's festival will be safe from whatever nefarious plans were going to be enacted by that horrible vigilante or criminal or whoever they were. And you are now free to fight another day. You are given a very healthy reward, 2,500 gold pieces to split as you wish.
So I split my share with the two of them. Like I watched them sort of count it apart, and I don't really notice, because I'm looking over at the City Watch guy, and like he's doing his knowing nod, and I'm still kind of not getting that we didn't catch the sort of nefarious highwayman. So I'm sort of eyeballing him, and I put the minor illusion mustache on him, and then I swing it around and I put it on Anthony, and I go.
And on that note, I think we will end. Yes, with our nice 80s style freeze frame, we'll end tonight's session. Thank you guys so much for joining me here. Anthony, thank you for, just jumping in at the last minute for a game of D&D. Yeah, it was great having you here. I'll be doing more of these in the future. Thank you guys for watching. I know that Dungeons and Devs is a weird experimental thing. I don't know where it's going. I don't know what's going to happen to it in the future, but I'm having a ton of fun with it, and I hope that whoever watches does as well.
Well, thanks for running.
Yeah.
Thanks so much.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you guys for coming. And on that note, I will say goodnight, and I'll see you later.